The Doohan cars in behind them as well. Gilliam was lighting up the green box to the first sector, whether that means anything for the end of the lap. Remember, 1:31.397 the benchmark at the moment. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars within a tenth of a second of that. So the top 7 covered by a tenth. There's Hyundai Excel and Formula V type margins, ladies and gentlemen. And look at how close they're getting. Just somebody remind them that this is qualifying. My goodness. Could you have imagined if the hot lap had been undone by a tap from behind from the teammate? That would not have gone down well in the postmortems.
Yeah, and look, that's always the trickiest part too, is when you've got a teammate and you're trying to help each other, is that you leave enough of a gap where you can get that aero advantage, but not enough where you're going to almost make contact and probably have to brake a little bit harder than you normally would. So that could be a little bit costly there, but for Hampstead and Ellis. But, at the end of the day, they're having one last red hot go at it, and this will be it as they come to the start-finish line for these guys.
1:31.397 the time to beat for Brady Myers. Let's wait and see what he can do. No, it's a 1:31.704. No improvement from the 22. Checker Tigers out. Kostecki to the top. 1:31.239. Kostecki and Phil Sell saved their best until last. Gilliam's gone second, not been able to improve. James Scott's popped up into third spot. Dylan Rudd to fourth. Myers is plummeting down the order at the moment, back to fifth. Tyson Broad in the 27, currently sitting 42nd. Can he improve on that? We'll wait and see. It looks like he's been able to find half a second. Up to 33rd. Luke Rosella, the 55, jumped up in a third spot. So the 55 has come from out of the clouds right at the death of the session. And of course, that's Luke Rosella entry. I mean, let's highlight the most important bit of detail here. His co-driver is Richie Stanaway. Here's Andrew Dyson, a late entry with Brian Borg, the 41st place car at the moment, the 017. They're not going to improve. Their fastest time is where they'll start, 1:32.138. They're not going to find any time in this third and final sector. 1:31.239. Kostecki found a 10th at the death. And all of a sudden, those fine margins have ballooned out. 0.158 the pole margin. And then all of a sudden, it's about half a tenth of a second covering the next 6 cars. And Brady Myers in all of that, unfortunately, the big loser, the sitting duck, if you like, he plummeted down to 7th position, the Trans-Tasman Racing entry, and will start behind Griffin Gardner. And Madison Down and Rehan Leonage, the number 1, they have come home in 8th place, 0.222 off the pole. But that is the last time tonight where one lap race pace is going to dictate anything. Now it's about the strategy and the longevity of what's to come. As we have a look now, ladies and gentlemen, at the results from qualifying there for you. And Sam, man, I think I'll get you to do the honours here for the moment.
So, Ray, our pole sitter, Brody Kostecki, what a great lap there. And Andrew Gilliam in your front row for the Doing OK Lobs cars. Impressive run through qualifying for those. And we go back and it's a Lobs second row with Luke Rosella and James Scott.
So, place seat pole position to Brody Kostecki. And more Doing cars in the third row. Gianni Lotsu in the 990 with Dylan Rudd. And Damon Woods in the 93. Those guys will start from the third row. The fourth row.
All Trans-Tasman Racing here for Brady Myers and Madison Down. We spoke about the Madison Down and Rehan Leonage, so it's good to see them inside the top 8. Puts them in a good spell.
And then the fifth row, of course, more Trans-Tasman entries. Joshua Anderson from the inside of 5. Jake Burton from the outside with their respective co-drivers. Remembering, folks, of course, that we'll find out very shortly who's starting this race and who's going to be sitting on and watching on from the sideline. Jake Maloney and Marcelo Rivera for Evolution Racing from row number 6. So a good flurry of Trans-Tasman cars in the first half dozen of the field.
Go back as Rick Benexoff and Job Stewart rounding up position 13 and 14. Wayne Burke in 15th. And Dylan Pereira on 16th. And it doesn't matter where you start on this grid. I'm just jealous that they're actually on the grid themselves. I know I'd love to be behind the wheel getting ready for this as Hayden Veld in 17th and Blake Warboys in 18th.
I think I'm much more comfortable here in the commentary box, just quietly. Chris Coxhead for Synergy Sim Racing, the 88 will start from 19th. And then, of course, Jamie Stolvold in the 707 from the outside of row 10. And still they come. Hayden Sell for 9.5 SimSport and Brad Ryan for Evolution Racing from 11. And from 12, it'll be Robert Gibbs and Lee Ellis. So Evolution Racing from the inside of 12 and Trent Tasman from the outside.
Yeah, Harley Haber in 25th and Daniel Hall in 26th. A gorgeous looking Logitech G Commodore. Kyle Stokes in 27th and Kirk Stenberg back in 28th. We saw his dramas in qualifying, so unfortunately it didn't go as great as he would have liked, but he's the main important thing is he's on the grid.
Indeed. We'll have some drivers joining us for a chat in just a moment here, folks. Ewan Baker and Scott Mackay from the 15th row of the grid. And the 16th row of the grid, actually, we'll come back to that in just a moment, folks. How about that? Let's bring some drivers in here for a chat if we can. And I'm unable to control that one, so we'll get the producers and directors to look after that one for us. We'll have a chat to Brody Kostecki and Madison Down and Brady Myers. They're getting ready to have a chat to us here as we stand by for race start very shortly, folks. Brody Kostecki, first cab off the rank. You got Sam Mann and Zach Caben here in the booth with you, mate. We hope you can hear us. Nice to have you on board. Difficult task jumping into the seat tonight with Jared Filsell. You guys come in as somewhat unbackable favourites, given Filsell's form in the moment, given your pedigree as well, with everything you've done in supercars in recent years, mates. Nice to have you on board. Welcome to the show, and well done on getting the job done very late in the session there.
Yeah, no, thanks guys. Thanks for having me tonight. But yeah, no, it was a great start to quality there. We had all the doing okay. Lobs Esports cars in the top 6. So yeah, really strong form by the whole team. And yeah, looking forward to starting this race off with Jared starting off. And yeah, we'll just have to be there at the end.
What's the plan of attack, mates? I mean, is Jared thinking long term with regards to his current championship lead, or are you just worried on the next 3 races and getting the Enduro Cup in the bag as well?
Jared can't think past the next 5 minutes, so we'll just be trying to get through turn 1, and yeah, we'll go from there. And yeah, the car feels awesome. So just gonna try and manage the tyres in the race. It's this track's proving to be quite difficult to actually drive and keep the tyre temps under control. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be an interesting race up front, and yeah, hopefully we have all of our ducks in a row and we you know, make the right calls if there's any safety cars or whatnot. And yeah, we'll just have to play it out and see what happens.
And very quickly, last one before I let you go, obviously you're not used to running the Interlagos circuit in your real world supercar, mate. What are your impressions of this circuit and how are you enjoying it?
I don't think I'll be making any trips to Brazil anytime soon to race at Interlagos from my initial impressions, to be honest. But no, it's I think it'll be a really interesting race, to be honest. There's a long front straight with the drafting, and the infield's really tight as well. So you know, plenty of passing opportunities. So it should be a very good race coming up shortly.
And of course, it's not lost on anybody. A bit more traffic to contend with here than what you'd be used to in the current Supercars Championship field.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, having 40 plus cars on the grids, you know, pretty awesome. But it also you know, makes the strategy quite interesting as well. Trying to make sure you pop out in clean air and yeah, just you know, that's what we're going to be trying to do here tonight. And if we can do that well, we should end up in good shape at the end.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Best of luck to you and Jared. Go well tonight. We look forward to catching up throughout.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
And the number one's in the house, Sam Mann. And given how excited you are about this combination, I think I might let you say g'day to Madison now as we continue the games and grid walk.
Yes, Matt joined with Madison Down. Mate, I've said it on the broadcast, and you probably knew anyway, yourself and Rehan, you guys are sort of going in as my favourite driver pairings for this race. How's that all playing out so far? So far, so good, I would imagine.
Yeah, so far so good. Didn't quite execute quality as well as what we could have there. Just locked a brake at a critical point in the mid-sector, but we've got pace, it looks like. I mean, we've got a lot of cars in front of us to get by, but confident in the driver pairing. I mean, it's probably a bit like me and you, Sandman, back in the day. You know, young kid coming through the ranks. So keen to help out Rehan where we can, and he's doing an awesome job. So looking forward to what he does here at the start. Absolutely, yeah. We saw that same thing as a team and looked at how fast he's been in the last few years, and he's only, getting faster and faster, and he's still only that 14 years old, which is actually about the same time I got involved in PC sim racing. So a lot of full circle moments for me, and looking forward to it. I mean, it's a double A combination for us as well. So it gives us good flexibility, and we should have a good race.
And he's in the seat to go for the start.
Yeah, we'll start Rehan. I'm not sure what the strategy is going to look like. He'll probably do, if we can get away with a single, we'll do a single, but obviously he's got enough pace. If he needs to go again, we'll put him in again. So, but yeah, he'll be starting the race.
Well, hats off to you and TTR, mate, for taking a young fella under your wing, mate. I really love it. It's easy to go for a safe driver pairing and probably, possibly have it in the bag. But when you're not even taking a gamble, because we've seen how quick Rehan is. But for you to do that in the Trans-Tasman fold is a real credit to you and the team. And mate, wish you all the best for tonight.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully we chat to you at the end.
Fingers crossed. There you go. Madison down and Rehan. So Rehan's in the car. No doubt the nerves will be climbing for him in that Trans-Tasman Commodore. But, mate, what a field for that top 10 where we've got the Lobs cars versus the TTR cars.
Exactly. And a couple of other teams throwing their hat into the ring here across the course at the 117 laps to come. Synergy Sim Racing there represented through the 89 in position number 8. I can't wait to see what unfolds across the course of the next 117 laps, and I'm sure you're as excited as I am, Sam. Man, if it's not, in your opinion, if it's not Phil Sell and Kostecki, or your other favourite being Down and Leonage, who and why?
Oh, mate. Yeah.
I know.
I can't, it doesn't, you don't even have to be in the top 5 to win this race. Anyone throughout this field, you have a look at all those cars, any one of those drivers could take this win tonight. Obviously, you've got your red hot favourites in every racing event, but look at that grid. Like, the winner can come from absolutely anywhere, and we may be talking about that tonight at the end of the race.
Well, we may. If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you on board. An endurance dose of Friday Night Motorsport for you in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Round 8 of the championship, round 1 of the True Force Enduro Cup. Keep your eyes peeled throughout the course tonight too, folks. I mean, obviously, we've just gone through and covered off Playtech pole position and the Gamesman grid walk, but very shortly, our attention's going to turn to the race, and I want you to keep your eyes peeled throughout for a potential hard charger. Of course, the OG Gear Hard Charger Award last time out went to the potential Rookie of the Year in Zach Ray White. He's the best placed Rookie of the Year at the moment, and he went from 41st to 17th at Monza, and that was in a sprint race. He's got a little bit more time to play with this time out. So what a magnificent sight that is. We're in the starters' hands, ladies and gentlemen. Round 8 of the championship. Round 1 of the True Force Enduro Cup from Interlagos in Brazil. Let's go. The field makes their way down towards the first corner. They're going to pop in a shot at the tick of the clock. There they go. Great start. Clean start. As they make their way through the first corner and on the run down out of 2 and 3, and it looks like, remarkably, a safe and clean start. Everybody away smoothly on the run down for the first time. Kostecki and Phil Silver going to lead us through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at those touring cars lining up. Take the fight to Trans-Tasman at the early stages here, and they've come out in force to lead it and make it 6th as well as they head to the top of the hill for the first time. The 22 slotted in the second spot. A little bit of a bobble at the top of the hill, but thankfully, so far so good, Sam.
Yeah, and these Lobs guys, they'll all be talking to each other, knowing that they're just going to give each other plenty of room. Let this first lap or two just let it play out, because they all just need to get themselves into a rhythm. Ideally, they'd love all to get single file, but there's a couple of people just making a dive there as well. So, you know, everyone's just trying to get that groove. The nerves will be building. They know what they've got in front of them. So, thankfully, with all those teammates around each other at the front, they can actually talk to each other, and they don't have to be worried about someone making a big dive. Like we can see Gibbs, the Gibbs car there, just trying to put a nosy up along the inside. But so far, so good. A nice, clean opening lap.
And already the battle on in earnest for second as they come across the line. So Kostecki and Phil Sill have checked out. They've got a good second and a half on the chasing pack as they hit turn 1 for the second time. Doing cars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the early stages. Rick Kuznetsov's made an okay start as well. Ross Rizzo and Michael Talianic have also got away okay. But at the front, no one's stopping the doing cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So Kostecki and Phil Sill have really made a statement in the early stages here, Sam, and they've said, look, we're happy to lead from the front. Catch us if you can.
Yeah, and look, you know, we don't know how this race is going to play out. It's such a long one, and, you know, at the end of the day, safety cars could be a real factor. You know, we just don't know. So, you know, so far, so good. Oh, a little bit dicey back here, just everyone being smart, but also just making sure that they're there or thereabouts, and they want to stay in touch with everyone. Or you can see another dive there up the inside, everyone giving each other plenty of room. But so far, so good, the opening laps here at Interlagos. Oh, just as I say that, I put the muzzle. There's a car around, so there was contact there. Unbelievable. Looks like he's got away with it. Lewis is now going to point it the right direction. No one else is there behind him, so thankfully there's no damage to that car. But just as I was praising him for a good, clean couple of laps, that all unfolded.
Indeed. Total pole left-hand side of the screen there, folks. We were having a small issue with that, but it's updated for us now just nicely. They're in 10th place. Emily Jones with Jake Burton, a very good start from that combination. Emily up in 11th. Don't hold hard in the early stages. Job Stewart down there on the inside of the 8 and goes into 10th place. Plenty of battles unfolding left, right and centre at the moment. We're watching the battle for 10th, and it's a four-way fight. Stewart, Jones, and then the 89 Synergy Sim Racing entry. Rick Kuznetsov in the 888 in behind them as well as they head down to turn 4 for the third time. Lap 3 of 117. Two things that are going to be interesting here. How early we see stops for fuel and tyres, and whether safety cars will dictate that. Thankfully, we've got away without needing the safety car after the 900 ended up turned around and pointing the wrong way. Starting down in, they're now placed down in 45th position. Lewis Greathead and Andre Youssef. The only way forward for them for the rest of the night. The only way is up when you're that far down this early in the contest, and that unfortunately does compromise them going forward. You wanted to avoid trouble going early, they're right able to do so.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, as difficult as it is, it's happened on lap 2. So there's a long way to go in this race. You know, there could be safety cars, you know, so they're not out of the picture yet. And I think the main thing that they can take away from it is that they got no damage too. So they can just push on. They got a little bit of clear air now. Just knuckle down, put it behind them, and now just think about how their race is going to play out over the next 114, 15 laps.
Enjoy the sound and noise of that, ladies and gentlemen, as they make their way down the main straight towards turn 1. Phil Sells still leading this race early, 3 wide further back. The number 2 entry making its way down there on the inside. Robert Gibbs, Lachlan Cable making a move early, trying desperately to find clear real estate. Kobe Williams leading the next battle pack through for 15th onwards. And so much of this field still very bunched up in the early stages. So all that talk about trying to find clear air, good luck in the early stages of this race. Contact between the teammates. That wasn't in the script. And it's opened the door up for the Trans-Tasman boys to work their way into the mix.
That's the problem that they've got, is a little bit pacey there. They can see that the TTR cars are right there starting to close in on them. But, yeah, like we said, that's the last thing you want between teammates is contact. But thankfully they got away with it. It was just a tiny little bit of nose to tail, and they didn't end up spinning each other out. But, that was a close one, and that'll sort of raise the eyebrows for the Lobs guys.
So there's the 22 that we were keeping a very close eye on in the latter stages of qualifying. Of course, Brady Myers and Ethan Warren. Warren started that race. He's a replay of that early incident. And have a look at, yeah, there was door-to-door contact. Oh, rear, what would we say? Rear left being punched by front right. And there'll be a 10-second penalty coming away of the Trans-Tasman car that was the protagonist of that car. That was Macaulay Jones, unfortunately. So already the wildcard entry has got an invoice to pay. And in comes more drama for Richie Stanaway, boxed in here in position number 5. Riding on board with him now, following James Golding. He's got the Trans-Tasman entry breathing down his neck, and behind them as well, just a log jam of cars trying to find their way through. Job Stewart up around the outside in car number 35, driving with Ruben Goodall at this point as they head up towards the top of the hill once more.
They're looking quite racy back there, aren't they? I mean, you know, we know it's only the opening laps, but geez, they're really sort of making these moves and putting it up the inside. Like, I thought it'd be a little bit more calmer. You know, these guys, you know, they are still darting around a little bit, just trying to, but, you know, we've already seen that contact, unfortunately, with Macaulay Jones. But, you know, at the end of the day, they've still got plenty of time to bounce back from that. But, man, yeah, these cars moving around and just taking those positions, it's good, hard racing. And thankfully, it hasn't gone to custard too much for a lot of these drivers.
Emily Jones has lost a couple of spots since the last time we checked in, but still very much there at the back of the train at the moment. No one's been able to break clear of the toes, so, I mean, that's good news for those of you watching on at home. Action everywhere you look, but not necessarily good news for these guys that are trying to find some sort of clear air to go about their business with some sort of peace and quiet and calm about it, but no, the intensity's at high level at the moment. Richie Stanaway up into 4th place now.
Yeah, he's got his teammate behind him, looking a little bit racy. You can see as Richie looks out the front window, he can see his other teammates there. Oh, is it going to be Myers getting up the inside? It's really close. Oh. He's got enough side of him, so it's side by side. So Ethan Warren gets the job done. Oh, gone! He's gone! He sent him in through the grass. He's going to gather it up, didn't make any contact. Oh, the stewards are going to have to look at that one. That was unfortunate, but I'm staying out of that.
Yeah, look, it was a very brave and bold move from Warren so early in the piece. Used all of the ripple strip going into turn 4, and then no one wanted to, yield or be polite about it. So this is the result, ladies and gentlemen. The OG gear replay for you. Both forced wide through turn 5. And the end result is that the TTR entry plummets down the order.
Yeah, that's something that the stewards will probably have to look at an aerial view just to see who was moving across on who. Because that Lobs car, there wasn't much more real estate that Lobs car could move over. So, yeah, to get a real indication of that, it's going to be an aerial view. But again, I'll say each and every round, because I'm glad I'm not in the steward's office and thankfully behind a microphone.
Exactly. So margin so far, 2.3 the margin first to second. Car number 94, Jared Filsell, the championship leader, leads the way here at the end of, geez, where the hell did the first 6 laps go? That has gone very, very fast. It's an indication of the tempo and the pace that's going to be set for the rest of the night here, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable sight here. Still trying to sort themselves out into single file formation this far down the pack. That's car number 115 being elbowed out and losing a couple of spots going through turn 5 as well. So on the right-hand side of your screen, that is the battle for 22nd that you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. So that just gives you an indication as to how hard fought every single bit of real estate is going to be around here tonight. The Logitech entry.
I wonder if it looked like he was slowing, whether he's just trying to get back in the train and get single file again. But looks like he's up to speed again, which is good. But I thought they were slowing down there. Oh, a bit of a dive here up the inside. Nice and clean. So Paul Young Now, he puts him on the outside of the racetrack. That's the tricky part about this racetrack, is that you set yourself up for a nice inside move, but then it puts you on the outside, and now he's a sitting duck and loses a spot there. So that's one of the beauties about this racetrack.
And they're arguing still. Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of SMSing going on there. The Synergy entry up on the outside, so we're riding on board with Sean McNamara in 31st at the moment. Looking back to 32nd, which is, of course, the Paul Young entry in behind him there. Car number 04, 3 wide. Oh, that's not going to end well. Trouble. Round goes to 2-2-2. 34th at a moment. Thankfully, nobody else caught up in that. Faulkner drops a bunch of spots, keeps the foot stuck into it, and presses on.
Yeah, thankfully he kept it nice and straight. He got in there a little bit deep, might have made contact. I think it was a TTR car in front of him, and then that pinched him in. He was, lucky not to get turned around or cause any other cars to spin, but he's going the right direction. He lost a couple of spots, but thankfully the car's nice and straight for him.
Lap 8 of 117, caution free thus far. 2x2 on the run up through turn 6.
Oh, look, no way, three wide.
Hang on. They're not running Hyundai XLs, they're running supercars, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to go 3 wide through right-hand hairpins.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of bump and grind there. They're not giving an inch here. But man, 3 wide through that part of the racetrack is not the smartest of decisions, but thankfully they all got out on the other side and are able to push on. But that was a hold your breath moment there for a moment or so.
We're riding on board with Ty Delaney, who will hand over to Brady Baldwin a little bit later on. 40th position at the moment. That's not a fair indication, I wouldn't imagine, of what these two bring to the table. I've seen Brady Baldwin in action in sim racing service for many a year, and they are better than what their current position would indicate, but we've still got a long way to go. The question is, can they? I mean, I've commentated a lot of sim racing over the course of the last 5 years, Sam, but I'm not yet sure if I've seen an opening 8 laps as intense as that.
No,
the question is, can they keep up the intensity for the next 109?
That's it. And the teammates throughout these series, they'll be in their ear saying, there's a long way to go. Their co-drivers will be talking to them, and you can see just back here too, they're still battling side by side. Makes for a good show, but it makes the team motors sweat a little bit.
Yep, Rainer Costello's 23rd in that battle at the moment. Ewan Baker up on the inside of Brad Ryan forcing the issue. Costello might want to capitalise on this as well. To the right-hander, can't get his nose far enough up on the inside. Ryan immediately on the switchback. They're rubbing paddles, ladies and gentlemen. The battle for 21st, I want to reiterate this time. The switchback! And got it done. But unfortunately, still on the wrong side of the racetrack to make it stick.
That was cool, wasn't it? Yeah, and that just showed. We were talking about that earlier, about that switch where lock of a tyre. That's going to happen. It's going to be escorted wide. Harley Haber, wow, just managed to stay on the black stuff just enough. And look at this, Rehan Lena moving into P4 now. So the young fella is on the charge at the moment now.
So that was Rainer Costello that had the little lock-up moment. And they're still arguing over 10th and 11th at the moment. So Corey Shepherd, that was, getting into the side of James Golding. So Golding's dropped a bunch of spots since the last time we checked in. Car number 201 is now salvaging 10th, trying desperately to stay inside the top 10, but he's got a target on his back as far as the eye can see, because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 ready to pounce. The first of those being the 29er Shepherd. So Gianni Lutzky's got up to 3rd. Rehan Leonage the next target there. Meanwhile, 1st and 2nd have buggered off. They're gone. They've taken off down the road. Phil Cell leads by 3.2, and then it's 4.9 from that 0.88, of course, which has James Scott and Ryan Wood behind the wheel tonight. He has 4.9 seconds back to this fight. Gianni Latsu, Rehan Leonage, Richard Stenaway, Damon Woods, Joe Stewart. Then the 89 Synergy Sim Racing entry, of course, which has Wayne Burke and Brett Loxton behind the wheel, and then back to Rick Kuznetsov. So that's a 7-way fight for 3rd at the moment, but they've lost sight of 1st and 2nd at this point.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous, wouldn't it, if it was a sprint round? But thankfully, being in an endurance race, there's so many different things can play out. So throughout this race, they're not too concerned yet. It's not ideal, obviously, when you've got the leader disappearing up the racetrack. But at the end of the day, they don't have to stress too much. But how's this battle? It's still happening back here for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th as Gardner and Woods, they make a move up the inside.
So that was very nicely done. Stenaway up at a 5th. Woods back to 6th now. Griffin Gardner is going to be taking over that seat a little bit later on in this motor race. Up towards this tight, twisty, technical middle sector. You think about the Interlagos circuit, you think fast-flowing 1st and 3rd sector, but then you've got that tight, technical, challenging, tricky part in the middle. And that has been the setting for much of the drama and the action so far tonight. So Gianni Lotsu is 3rd. Rehan Leonage, what an opening stint from the youngster, up 4 spots already. And Damon Woods has slotted very nicely into the top 5 in the number 93. And it's going to be very interesting to see how nervous these co-drivers are. A lot of them are the main game drivers, of course, watching on at the moment and probably doing so with itchy feet, just waiting to get amongst the action stand then. Here we go. Lotsu's under pressure here. Here comes Leonage to the inside. Rehan Leonage to the top 3.
Yeah, nice move. He was just patient and smart about that. He could see that he had a little bit more pace on the Lobs cars in front of him, but he just slowly picked them off one at a time. And that's really good heads-up race. And now he doesn't have to worry about the cars. He just sort of head down, see if he can cap these guys a little bit and just get himself into a rhythm, because the last few laps he's had someone in front of him, and now it's all about hitting his own braking markers and just getting a good feel for this race and letting it unfold. So really good driving so far into P3 for Rehan.
Give you an update on the back half of the field at the moment, folks. Zach Ratway White finds himself 45th at the moment in car 17, and car number 41, which was subject to that penalty earlier on, finds itself Macaulay Jones and Andre Heimgartner in 44th right now. Just ahead of them is Lewis Greathead and Andre Youssef, the guys that ran into trouble early in the piece. Very early in the piece, opening couple of laps. Phil Sells' lead is stretched out to 3.7, and the gap from second back to Rehan Leonage is now 5.2. So slowly but surely, small margins are blooming out. But again, have a look at the top left-hand corner of your screen, folks. Round 8 of the championship is only 12 laps old, and there's 105 to go after the one we're on now as they make their way through. And pick up car number 28 at the back of the next battle pack there for the Trans-Tasman Racing stable. Of course, Richard Hampstead and Lee Ellis now. Again, if memory serves, Richard Hampstead saw the checkered flag first at Sebring, but then got whacked over the knuckles by race control. So keep an eye on that car throughout the course of the night. Lee Ellis is the co-driver there this evening.
It looks a bit strange seeing Lee Ellis behind the wheel of a Mustang. He's normally a Commodore regular, so to see him behind the wheel of a Mustang, I might have to wind him up about that later, but, so far so good. He's still got a straight car, that's the main thing.
I think finally the intensity of this race has just been wound back a little bit. 13 laps later, we've managed to ease into it and find our way into a steady sort of rhythm here. But I don't want to speak too soon. Fastest lap of the race thus far, 1:32.593. We take the onboard with Cameron Dance, who's driving with Tyson Broad this evening. And we're running through the second sector, Sam now.
Absolutely cool to have these driver cameras, just to see them hard at work, and interesting to see different rigs too. He's gone for the hyperstimulator cockpit there, and so very comfortable. I've had the pleasure of racing in one of them many moons ago, so nice little setup for him, and it's all about being comfortable and really interesting to see how these guys go about their racing. But it's never easy. You think, how hard is it? He's just going to sit there, turn left, right, but you can see the concentration that he's got going on. It's all about applying that throttle smartly and not getting too much wheel spin there, and he's not being super aggressive at the moment. He's getting himself into a rhythm, and he's looking the good so far.
There's car 27, of course, Tyson Broad and Cameron Dance. We were riding on board with them back to this captivating battle between Gianni Watsu and Job Stewart. Stewart already up 8 spots on where he started. Giving Watsu, 4 through turn 4. Damon Woods has skipped marginally clear at them. Rehan Leonage has put half a second on Damon since getting on by a couple of laps ago. So Leonage and Down are right there when the whips are cracking. And again, big dive from Stewart to go up 9 spots. There we go, up into the top 5 for Joe Stewart for the first time tonight. Relegates Watsu to 6th. And then he's got to worry about the 89 Synergy Sim Racing entry, Wayne Burton, and of course, Wayne Burke and Brett Loxton in behind them. So Burke in the 89, also up spots based on where he started, qualified 15th, up inside the top 10. So there have been a few drivers that have been able to, track along at a good pace, at a good tempo in the opening stint here and capitalise on not necessarily a great qualifying run and make it count when the race gets underway. However, it's about making it count for 117 laps. So 8 positions is a good gain early on, Sam Man, but they want to continue with that momentum.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what the team and the co-drivers and everyone want, is just someone that's just going to slowly make their way through the field. You don't have to make up you don't have to be first by lap 5 or 10. You know, we're talking endurance race, and we're talking about someone that can do the job, bring home a straight car, and if you're picking off drivers and, you know, making up, like I said, 8 positions, like that's very handy to have in your back pocket. And, you know, that's all he needs to do, and he's doing the right thing. And I think now, like you said, I think we can take a little breather, and it looks like that everyone's just getting themselves into a rhythm, and they'll be starting to think about pit stops and what sort of position they're in at the moment, and how they're going to go about that first one. Do they keep their drivers in at the moment that are in there? They're all warmed up. They're all got their eye in a little bit. You know, do you double stint these drivers? Do you swap out drivers? You know, this is something that the teams now have to think about as this race goes on.
It is also something we have to keep tabs on as well. Who's swapping over and who's double stinting off the top here? There will be a couple of drivers subject to a double stint tonight. No doubt about that. Remember, 400 points on the line for the race winner tonight, folks, and a maximum of 1,200 up for grabs in the Enduro Cup. 1,600 left in this championship fight. It's round 8 of 12 in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Great to have you along for the ride. True Force Enduro Cup opener. Sandown 500, 3 weeks tonight, and then of course the Bathurst 1000 comes up Sunday, September 22. And Scott Rankin will be back in the driver's seat in 3 weeks' time, I should imagine, as well. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy there, arguing over the same piece of real estate. Let's have a look at this. So that's Rick Kuznetsov in 9th place at the moment, arguing with Richie Stanaway. And they've put a little bit of distance between themselves and the 22, of course, the Trans-Tasman Racing entry of Brady Myers and Ethan Warren. And so Warren's lost a little bit of ground in recent laps. But it can happen so quickly, can't it? Sam, man, as soon as one car gets past you, you lose that little bit of momentum. The floodgates can open when the field's this bunched up. Would they be getting concerned or antsy about that at the moment, or would they be thinking as little of it as they possibly can and just focusing on staying clean for the moment?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they need to do. Again, I'm going to say it, and everyone's going to curse me out. It's buy a ticket to the end. That's obviously the main thing that they need to think about. If you happen to lose a couple of positions, then so be it. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the day too. So much can happen throughout this race. People that you're battling, where it's all nice and close around you, they could have an absolute shocker of a pit stop. They might do a driver change. If they do a driver change and you don't, you're going to gain that position in pit lane, because there's obviously that little bit of a time penalty that you have to take when you do swap drivers. So many things can play out. It's all about just hitting your rhythm and have a little bit of a game plan, and don't stress if it's not going to plan so far. We've still got 100 laps to go in this beauty of a race, so anything can happen, and it probably will.
Rehan Leonage and Damon Woods. So Woods is ever so gradually Rehan back in. It's only 0.3 of a second between the pair of them at the moment. Look at the music, all the real estate, and a little bit more coming out of turn 3 on the run down to turn 4. Rehanage sitting pretty in 3rd place in car number 1. No doubt Madison Down watching on with a smile on his dial at this point. Oh, a little bit of a moment there for Richie Stanaway getting the rear end out sideways in his pursuit of Rick Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov on the defence, surely. Lap 17's a little bit early to be that defensive, but hey, fair game. You want to hold the line. You've got Richie Stanaway, proven credentials in real-world motorsport, and no slouch on the sim either. Up your clacker, have a look at that. Rick Kuznetsov under serious pressure here, not just from Stanaway, but also the Trans-Tasman 22's got in there in behind them as well, so it's a three-way fight for 8. There are the elbows, the hips, the shoulders, they're out. And Kuznetsov on the defensive on the run-up, as you see it on the replay bottom of the screen, said, look, you know, I've got the position, I've got the line, I can make the call, I'm going to go defensive, and if you want to get by me, you've got to go the long way around it. He wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, it looks like Stanaway's just slowly just drifting back a little bit. So now you can see Ethan Warren, he's now all over the back of him, and the pace that he's got, he's going to get the job done nice and easy up the inside. So I think what Stanaway needs to do is just let these guys go, and I think that's exactly what he'll do. Just go single file and just get himself into a rhythm. So he slipped back a little bit, but nothing to be too concerned. You know, we don't see him a lot in our series. We know he does enjoy time behind the wheel in sim racing, so good to have him in our race tonight. So for him now, it's just you know, he's got no pressure from behind now. Oh, as you can see, the 22 now, Myers, he's going to get another position. So Ethan Warren, in the car. So nice move, and of course they're bouncing back from that early drama that we haven't heard anything from Race Control about yet.
No, 2 places in 3 corners. So one at turn 1 and one at turn 4, and Warren has got up 2 spots. Myers will be happy with that. But the job is far from done, because one little trip up, one little slip, and all of a sudden they'll be staring down the barrel of being 10th again. And the task will be ahead of them once more. Have a look at that battle pack behind them. 11th on through probably, 17th. Incident between cars 201 and 22. No further action on that one from earlier on. So, asking you shall receive the news, Sam, man. No further action at this point on car 201 in Andrew Gilliam and James Golding, and also 22, Brady Myers and Ethan Warren. This is the battle for 11th now. Jones, Williams, Shepherd, Coxhead, Toljanovich and Capel, as they make their way down the main straight to complete lap number 18. 19 of 117. You're watching it live on the platforms of the Logitech G Pro Invitational E-Series right across the network. Many different viewing options for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're tuning in, and hope you can stick with us for the next 3 hours or so.
Good battle, this little pack, isn't it? You know, we can see Emily Jones is just at the front of this pack, and that's a good combination too of Emily Jones, how she's racing within the Trans-Tasman racing fold. And, you know, we haven't seen her much in this series, but a real talent behind the wheel. So good to have her on board, and she's steering the car there at the moment. So far, so good with Jake Burton. So that's not a bad driver pairing, to be honest. And yeah, glad to have Emily in the series. Good to see her on track. She's doing quite well.
Let me ask you this: when we get to the back end of the race, and we're looking at, you know, potentially 2 or 3. I mean, you look through this field. There's multiple cars in multiple teams. You know, we're talking teams of 6, 7, 11. As we have a look at the OG Gear Hard Charger at this point in time, car 17 on a mission here in the early stages. Of course, car 17 tonight has Zach Ratway-White and Seth Brown behind the wheel of it. Ratway-White, of course, the Hard Charger at the Monza Circuit in Italy last round of the championship, up 24 spots from 41st to 17th. So, and this is the thing, isn't it, Sam, man? We have those that qualify and race well. We have those that qualify not so well and race very well. And we have those that qualify very well and race not so well. It's all about applying the trade to suit your craft as best you can. And Ratway-White has found his niche here in terms of, okay, I might not necessarily get the job done in qualifying, but by gee, I can go when the whips are cracking in the race.
Absolutely, and not a bad little incentive too when OG Gear get behind the Hard Charger Award. So if your night doesn't go great in qualifying, there's always that to look forward to. Make those positions through the field as we check that and we speak about that. Look at that, up 14 positions there for Andrew Dyson. So Sean McNamara 13 spots, and you know that's a credit to those guys. Obviously, it didn't go great in qualifying, but they're really racing well and got good cars underneath them for the moment.
Indeed. So Dyson and Borg, that was a late addition to the field, but keep an eye on them because that's Simrig's 017 entry. Brian Borg, a well-credentialed race car driver. He's in terms of what I've been able to watch of what he's been able to do on the Simrig over the years, and his co-driver as equally skillful, no doubt about that. Harley Haber, of course, to hand over to Forzan El Nabi a little bit later on. We know what both of those guys bring to the table for Synergy Sim Racing. And that's the point that I wanted to come back to before we were having a look at the Hard Charger there, Sam. When we get to the end of this race, the first round of pit stops underway. James Golding is an early stopper on pit lane. Is this the first driver change of the night, or will we see a double stint for Golding? Oh, he's missed the box. That'll cost him a little bit of time there. It might not be so costly at this point of the night, but you wouldn't want to be making that sort of a mistake under a safety car pit stop at the back end of the night when everybody's on the lane at the same time. So Golding in. Let's see if there's a driver change.
Yeah, that's something that we talk about too, is, it's so easy to make just those little mistakes. And, so if you are racing with someone, it looks like a pretty quick pit stop and James is still in the car. So, he's got in he's got in for a set of tyres, a full load of fuel. So 11.6 seconds stationary in the box. So now it's about him. And this is what we touched on a little bit earlier as well, is do they leave their guys in at the start because they've got their eye in, they're warmed up, so there's a good reason to leave those guys in just to get a double stint out of the way, because when you've got your eye in, the last thing you need is to sort of go hot cold and step out, step back in. You're better off just racing when you've got a feel for everything around you at the moment.
Brad Ryan will soon hand over to the two-time Circuit XL national champion Ethan Greengold. Under pressure here from Hayden Sell, who's driving with Dylan O'Shea, of course. I'll eventually get back to the point that I wanted to make with regards to the teams out there, Sam. Man, I'll talk to you about that as soon as things die down once more. Would we be willing to call what we just saw there with regards to Golding on pit lane? Would we be willing to label that the reverse strategy at this point in time, considering that very few others have taken the bait there and followed him down pit lane?
Yeah, for the moment. I mean, they've looked at their position. We just saw that pass on Rehan. So Rehan's now just brought back to fourth, but that's no biggie at this stage. But no. Yeah, they just sort of weigh up where they're at the moment, and they figure, the best thing to do is probably get one of those out of the way, because, who knows, may get a safety car and that could change things and turn everything on their head. So, it's not a bad strategy, and early days, and, I do like that everyone just doesn't do follow the leader and everyone pits on the exact same lap. So it's good that there's some teams out there that roll the dice and, have a gamble on those fresh tyres and make up some time there on everyone else that's around you and see how it all plays out.
So that's interesting that Damon Woods and Rehan Leonage have swapped around. We mentioned there a few moments ago that Woods had slowly but surely been reeling Rehan in. He's been able to continue to chip away at that and swap back around again. That battle for third is on in earnest. Also the battle for 11th, still 7 deep as we start lap 23 of this car race.
I love it. I love these little battle packs when you sit back here and see how it's all playing out. They don't care where the leader is. They know that they've got their eyes forward and they're in this little back, this pack of battle between each other. That's all they're focused on at the moment, and they're all having a good time, no doubt. They could be a little bit frustrated. They could be, just quite happy to sit, but they're all thinking about pit stop soon and how they can leap each other, because we already saw that, that little run over the pits. If you just missed your braking marker in the pit box, that can give you a couple of seconds. So if someone does that in this little battle pack, that can be costly.
Just to give you a little update, folks, Jared Filsell continues to hold sway at the top end of town and has not looked back. 3.45 the margin at the moment. He'll hand over to Brody Kostecki at some point tonight. The minimum driving time around here tonight is not the 50 odd laps that it would be when we get to Mount Panorama. Obviously, it's only 117 laps, so it's 37 laps, which means that the maximum driving time tonight is 80. So 80 and 37, around about that 2/3 marker, 70% even, for the 117 laps over 503.1 kilometres tonight. We haven't had a caution so far, so there is still the potential for a random safety car to be thrown by race control. Only they know that number and when to deploy it if we continue to go safety car free. But so far, so good. We haven't had anywhere near the level of carnage you would normally associate with a field as big as this, which means that everybody's thinking rather smartly, thinking about the long game, the task at hand. Big Send down there on the inside. Wayne Burke up at a 6th spot now. Swaps around with Gianni Latsu, the 990 back to 7th. Dylan Rudd waiting to take over that car a little bit later on, and Burke was a little bit wide coming off 4. Latsu will potentially have a chance to restore order here, but he opts not to. He tucks back in and yields and holds on to 7th for the moment. That was a real good bit of driving from Burke to get by Latsu there at turn 1. We were talking about the leaders. It's still 6 seconds from the second placed 88 entry for Lobs Esport back to Damon Woods in 3rd. And then this logjam, this battle outside the top 10, continuing to hold our imagination and attention at this point. And right on board now with Chris Coxhead, who's driving alongside the great man Brenton Hobson tonight. Hobbo, the 88, synonymous with these cars. He wasn't overselling his chances coming into tonight, Sam Man, but he very rarely does.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, nothing wrong with being a quiet achiever at the end of the day. You know, you don't want to sit out there and toot your own horn because if things go pear-shaped, you know, you can look a little bit like you got some egg on your face. But, yeah, never rule out Hobbo. Like, you know, especially in these longer race formats, you know, always a force to be reckoned with. And, yeah, will be a good pairing as this race goes on.
Lap 25. And the fastest lap still remains at 1:32.593. We haven't seen too many drivers take the pit lane route just yet. Oh, boy.
Coxhead was having a try. And he's going to probably set him up.
Mindful, hasn't he? He's got to be mindful. Yes, he's going to try and get by the 2 cars in front of him, but as he does that, he's going to have 2 cars wanting to have a crack behind him as well.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you can see the pace.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you can see the pace he was carrying through that corner, so I knew he was going to have a go. But unfortunately, just ran out of real estate there. So these guys getting racy, and you can see it's all happening. They can see when that little bit of squabbling happens in front of them, that they know this is an opportunity for them to strike.
The door got slammed firmly shut as he was trying to find the way by Kobe Williams there. Corey Shepherd in 14th. Then Talyancic, I should say, in 15th. Capel's in there as well. Through turn 7.
It's like the front right of that Mustang. Got a little bit of a scuff mark too. So, you know, that's never ideal, but thankfully it's not too much damage there. So hopefully that won't affect their straight line too much. But, you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to get any more contact because you start to do damage and fold that guard in. That will start to affect your straight line speed.
Very foggy afternoon there at the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. Lewis Greathead. It's been a struggle for these guys, hasn't it? Cameron danced down there with him as well. Now, when we saw that, I must say, we haven't seen what's prompted a dance back down the order in the 27, but we know that Lewis Greathead got caught up early. And it's just been a long road back for those guys. They'll be hanging out for the safety car, I'd imagine, to be deployed at some point to bring them back onto the train and give them a chance to work their way forward. Because unfortunately, when you get caught up in an incident that early in the piece and you plummet back down the order, it's a long road ahead for the rest of the night. Here's Coxhead having another lunge down the inside. Still can't get it done. So that battle for 12 continues.
Yep, so Emily there now in 13th, so they're all having a red-hot go here. Probably not too far away from the first round of pit stops for these guys, but we're right on board with Emily Jones. Teaming up with Jake Burton, a good driver pairing, and really in the thick of it for the moment. You'd love to be in the fold just to know when these teams are going to start pitting, because that's where it starts to get interesting, especially when you got, 4, 5, 6 cars all sort of nose to tail. They're all itching to get past each other.
We have no damned idea. And you know what the interesting thing is? I scroll down the live timing board here in the central commentary, and only James Golding has transited the lane thus far. That gives you some sort of indication as to where everybody's mindset's at the moment. It looks as though the intention is to run the tank dry and then stop. Let's see what happens this time by. They're running down towards pit lane. Coxhead and Hobson are on the road. Coxhead and Hobson are on pit lane at the end of lap 26. Will this be a driver change? Good opening stint from Coxhead. Let's see if Hobbo goes to work this time by. Coxhead into pit lane out of this battle pack that was 11th through 16th.
That's huge.
And it's a big stop for those guys.
Yeah,
Stop.
if they get this job done nice and quick, I don't imagine they'll do a driver swap. Perhaps they will. But if they can get out a little bit quicker than these drivers around them, they can jump them. But it looks like they're still stationary in the stop. So possibly a driver change for these guys. It's a long
that
stop.
battle rages, isn't it? Williams and Talianic have taken off, but Jones, Shepherd, Capel still in the fight here. It is a very long stop, 34.4 seconds. An extraordinarily long stop for Coxhead.
Yeah, you'd imagine that Hobbo's now in the car. But, this is where it gets interesting now. So, Coxhead still in the car. Yeah, so they've opted for that longer strategy. But at the end of the day, it's still early, and, rolling the dice, and everyone will start thinking about, obviously, that 37 laps.
So the two siblings, father-son, the relations, Ty Delaney and Blake Delaney, 39th and 40th respectively. Ty will hand over to Brady Coleman, Blake to Freeman. Whoa! That is no holds barred. And that's an awkward dinner conversation post-mortem if it all goes belly up. Stuart Vaughan's caught there in that now as the meat and the sandwich. We ride on board with Vaughan in 39th. The 033, let's hear him roar. Out of turn 12, 13, the run to 14, and then down the main straight, the kink at 15 across the start-finish line. We're looking out the back. He's got Delaney to his inside, so the Delaney boys have pounced on Vaughan as they head back down the start-finish line to complete lap 27. Remembering that our race leader, Jared Philsel's on lap 28 at the moment and leads by 4.246 seconds. Kyle Stokes to pit lane, so slowly but surely, those pit lanes, transits are beginning to unfold here as round one of the True Force Endurance Cup continues.
How cool is it to have a father and son racing against each other?
Mate,
I'd love to see the chat behind the scenes between the two. That'd be quite cool to be a part of.
The banter would be relentless. It'd be
the
fantastic.
Trash talk.
In saying that as well, you look at father and son. That's the backbone of, you always call motorsport a family sport, but that's the backbone of grassroots motorsport and speedway and karting and things like that right there. Father and son combining. Normally in the same cockpit, but in this instance, they've got two sim rigs and they're going against one another tonight. That's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Kobe Williams leads a smorgasbord of cars on a pit lane. So Williams, Capel, Baker and Rainer Costello currently sitting 23rd. All on a pit road right now. And the next flurry of pit stops underway. We go back to Rehan, Leonage and Madison down right now. Still all over Damon Woods like a cheap suit. John Stewart in there as well.
I just love what Rehan's doing at the moment. He's not getting carried away. He's just got himself into a groove, into a rhythm. This is exactly what I expected from the young man. And, the whole TTR team and Madison down, the support they've thrown behind him to give him this seat is exceptional. And he's rewarding him as we all sort of expected him to do. So to be inside the top five, he's 30-odd laps into his stint. He's ticking all the boxes. And very proud of this young man and very proud of of Madison and TTR to get behind him and throw that support. I think there's a lot of people who are going to be worried about this young fella in the years to come, because I think he's learning from the best at the moment.
And not to mention that his old man Lassif Leonage, he'll be tuning in as well and enjoying every single piece of it, and he's no flat either. I'm just reliably informed, actually, he's in the engineer booth for these guys tonight, and I've been able to watch father and son race together on the same server. They are very, very good operators. The apple does not fall very far from the tree at all in the case of the Leonages. Right, more pit lane activity now. That's Brad Wright and Ethan Griggolt onto pit lane, and alongside them Harley Haber, who will hand over at some point to Forza El Navi. And back we go to the race leading car. Brody Kostecki waiting to jump behind the wheel of this thing after putting it on pole position.
Have a look at that. Our cameras busting what they do in their driver breaks. They just scoff a little bit of pizza. I'm a little bit jealous. I want to have a word to Jay Kennedy and find out where our Pizza Hut sponsorship. Maybe we should be talking to Macaulay Jones. He should have been supplying us with some Pizza Hut pizza.
Look,
maybe.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not nibbling on pizza during the broadcast, but I've got some little snacks courtesy of the confectionery aisle at Coles, I must say. Hello, mate. Nice to have you on board. Good luck tonight. Have a look at how relaxed he looks like. And that's what it's all about. The fact that you can sit there and enjoy a slice of pizza and enjoy the show, and then go out and be a part of the show as well. Michael Whiting driving with Jamie Dyke and Zach Vlasquam driving with Teo Serrano. They're side by side through the middle sector, and barely a cone of varnish between them.
One thing I noticed from that shot too is we're starting to see marble build up on the outside of this racetrack, so that will just get a little bit trickier for these drivers and teams to think about, because obviously as the race goes on we're going to get more and more marbles on the outside of this racetrack, so you'll have to be very careful about this, because it will build up.
Oh. So Brett Watson jumped into Wayne Burke's car now, car number 89, driver change there. Richard Stanaway on pit lane, so too Hayden Sell. A little bit of dust being kicked up through the final sector in this battle that rages on the main straight between James Golding and Andrew Gilliam down the inside. Job done.
Yeah,
well
nice
done.
move there. Nice move from Golding. Now, obviously, he's got those tyres underneath him. He's had that pit stop. And now it's about just using what he's got for the cars around him. You can see the difference. He's already started to open up that gap. It's eyes forward for him, and just, waiting for these round of pit stops to play out, because it won't be long before the rest of the field will dart down pit lane too.
Are you impressed? Are you as impressed as I am by the driving standards thus far, Sam, man, in the sense that we've gone 31 laps and we haven't needed the safety car yet?
Yeah, I am. We don't take it for granted. I think we've got a great driver lineup here in the Logitech series, and everyone's a good racer, and everyone races fairly clean. Obviously, everyone gets a red mist and things happen, but as we see, Wood. He's in the pit lane as well.
Gianni Lotsu as well. So, more of the top 10 making their way to pit lane right now. The 088 has made its way to the lane. So, that car was running second, of course, for much of the opening stint. James Scott and Ryan Wood had broken clear with Jared Philsell in the opening stages, and then they just settled into a rhythm. Now on pit road. So finally, the heavyweights of this field are making their way down the lane. Philsell leads Woods by 10.249 seconds. Leonage still within half a second striking distance at the moment. Job Stewart is fourth. We picked up the number 8 on screen there now, Emily Jones, under pressure from Corey Shepherd.
Yeah, and to touch on what I was just saying before is that, I reckon, I'm biased, but I reckon we've got some of the best names in Australian sim racing in our series. So, everyone's been very smart, but it's easy to get caught up with the red mist, isn't it? Everyone wants to win and have a red hot go. There's so much that happens behind the scenes. We are hearing there's a safety car. So the safety car is about to roll out on track. So now this is huge, because there's a number of teams. Philsell, he's into the lane straight away. This is where all the teams are going to absolutely dart straight in and get their pit stop done.
this changes everything, and it really upsets the apple cart, doesn't it? As opposed to those that are going to benefit from being able to pit under safety car, as opposed to those that have already completed their pit stop. This is huge. This is a race-defining moment right here. Pit lane's about to become a hub of activity.
A number of teams have not long done their pit stop, and that's what we're seeing here. So Gianni on screen, he's going to now dart around to try and get in front of this field. Who, most of the field is still up the front. They're still in the pit lane at the moment. So he's going to try his best to leapfrog as many cars as he can.
Got to lap 32. We didn't quite get to 1/3 race distance. Latsu blasts up the outside. As those that haven't yet stopped make their way into pit lane, Philsell and Kostecki will come out behind their teammates. So Latsu and Rudd with the advantage. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's how quick it can change.
Have enough action, Sandman. In comes the safety car to shake and stir it up just nicely.
Absolutely. We were under the impression that no one was going to be able to go that 37 laps with a driver, if they wanted to stick with their number one or their number two driver to get their number of laps out of the way. But at the end of the day, if someone was trying to make that lap 37, that throws everything out of the equation now, because everyone's going to be in the lane and they need to at least do one more stint just to tick over that lap 37 compulsory mark.
Yes. A very good point. So we're going to go on board with Sean McNamara here for the OG Gear replay. This is the run into pit lane.
On the brakes. Oh, these looks like he's struggling to find his pit box. He's weaving.
McNamara.
Don't
tell me. Yeah, he's
had to drive through.
So that is going to throw them out of all sorts of contention, you'd imagine, because they'll have to come back down the lane again.
Yeah, look, and it's tricky because there's so many cars and teams in pit lane to try and find your box. That is tricky. Unfortunately, I've done that in a couple of NASCAR races, so I'm not going to point the finger too much. It's an easy thing to happen. But yep, unfortunately, he's going to dart down to pit lane and get that stop done, but it's going to put him down to the back of the pack, unfortunately. Oh, insult injury. Oh, he's kept it. Now, this is why he struggled to find his box, because he looks like he's the very first box in the lane.
He will be absolutely spewing. And let's have a look at it.
On the brakes, he's seen his box. Whoa! You can't crank on the wheel and jump on the brakes at the same time, because that's exactly what happens. Thankfully, he didn't make contact with the garage wall there, so the car will still be intact. But that's why he missed it. It was the very first box in the lane.
That's and that second entry to pit lane, that's nothing more than red mist. No doubt agonised and frustrated by the fact that he could get into the pit box first time round. In he comes second time round. The safety car, of course, the Logitech G Aston Martin GT4 safety car leading the field round tonight. Impressive bit of kit, no doubt about that. And the race leader is now Gianni Latsu and Dylan Rudd. Championship leader Jared Philsell slotted into second spot. Richie Stanaway in the 55 is third. And we ride on board with the safety car for the first time tonight. Scott Mackay, Cameron Dance, Rainer Costello, Teo Serrano, all down pit lane this time round as well. So this is interesting because a couple of those guys had already transited the lane, if memory serves. So it's interesting to see that they're coming in now. Maybe just to top up the tank so that they can go open slather for this second stint when we do get the restart, whenever that may be. Safety car will get control of the field before it pulls into pit lane and releases them in anger once more. Analysis and thoughts from you as we get to almost third race distance, Sam, now?
Yeah, pretty good so far from what we've seen from the teams. And like you said, a couple of those other teams and drivers just decided to come down pit lane again. There's no harm in topping up the fuel tank exactly, where they're at. If they find themselves in the back of the pack, looks like we're about to go green again shortly. Looks like safety cars pulled away from the field, but it's been pretty good so far. I'm not too shocked at what we've seen, but still an absolutely long way to go as we're about to start lap 35 of 117 here at Interlagos.
Now, I'm very glad that there are three doing cars line astern here, because that feeds me back into the next talking point. I want to ask you about team orders and at what point they're implemented, or whether they go out the window in a situation where you're fighting for first, second and third in the motor race, as these guys are about to be doing. But I'll get your thoughts on that once we get a chance to catch our breath, because it's about to get very hectic once more, ladies and gentlemen. Gianni Lutsu has control of the field, brings them back to green. It flies. We resume hostilities once more here at Interlagos, and already Damon Woods trying to get down on the inside, on the outside, in fact, to Brihan Leonage. So those two resume their duel. It would have been for a duel of 1, 2, 3, 4, but Brihan was up for the challenge. And further back, have a look at that. The Logitech entry and the Synergy entry. So Kobe Williams and Hayden Veld have got up into 11th spot there, and now at the front of the field, the 94, Brody Kostecki and Jared Filsell takes over the lead once more. They didn't muck around. They wasted little time in restoring order there. That may have been team orders, but I don't think anyone was going to stop Jared Filsell now that he's into the motor race, getting up on the inside and taking off once more. So Filsell leads to the top of the hill, first lap under green conditions, off the back of our first safety car interval of the night.
I think Rihan did a good job with that restart too, because obviously those Lobs boys would have all been in each other's ears about when they were going to sort of ready, set, go, and he was sort of sitting there just making sure that he sort of covered his line, and he was smart about that restart. So he's got a little bit of pressure on him from behind, but you'd expect that from these Lobs cars. But doing a great job in P3 for the moment, and looks like he's got the job done here. Is this up the inside? On board with Rihan, dives it up the inside. Nice move, heads up drive there. So well done, Rihan, as he just picks off another one, get himself into a rhythm, and eyes forward for the young man.
Very well done indeed. So no sooner do we talk about Leonage being in that battle with Damon Woods. Here comes the 22, and it's been prominent all night, hasn't it? Ethan Warren and Brady Myers down on the inside. And job done. So the 22 moves up into 7th on Ruben Goodall in the 35. Back straight once more. Filsell, Lutsu, Leonage now right in the fight, with the two doing entries for Lobs Esports, and Richie Stanaway relegated to 4th into the clutches of Damon Woods now. Stanaway continued to slowly the elbows out.
Emily got the job. Good job from Emily Jones. Just put it up the inside there, and looks like they still haven't given up the fight back. Oh, bit of contact there. Corey Shepard there. They were so side by side. Managed to get it away with it. That was just a little bit of a bump to say, you know what, I'm not giving up this spot so easily. So you want to take it, come and get it.
Still they fight as well. Still side by side through 7 and 8, and on the run up to 9. Have a look at them.
Yeah, this will keep going too, just the way that they are running there. This is working good for Emily. Oh, he's just run a little bit wide.
And the way that the track flows through that middle sector of the circuit, it's right, it's left, it's right, it's left. So you can get that over and under thing going on just nicely. Hayden Sell now weighs into the fight as well. Back to the 0.63. Kobe Williams, 9th. But look at that freight train. 10 or 11 cars deep and under pressure on the run down the main straight. Bradley Ratu giving him what for as they head down towards turn 1, and there's still 81 laps to go.
Bit of NASCAR drive there. Was almost bump drafting. These guys just go all a little bit wide there. This is the tricky bit. When you run in a little bit deep there, it really hurts your momentum, because you're off on the wrong side of the racetrack now, just trying to gather it up. Got a Lobs teammate there up beside of him, but yeah, going a little bit deep and puts you right on the outside.
So forget what I was going to ask you about team orders, because that proves that there's no holds barred here. They're all worried about their individual performance. Have a look at them, arguing the point, and they've got 3 non-teammates behind them ready to pounce if they slip up. Ethan Gringold's number 7 is one of them.
Yeah, opportunistic here. He's going to make the most of this and get a dive up the inside. Oh, I thought he was going to go for a second position there as well. But, yeah, these guys aren't giving giving each other plenty of racing room, which is great to see. We're seeing, it looks like a black flag for car 222 passing under the safety car.
Jacob O'Reilly, Ben Faulkner. They'll be issued with a penalty as a result of that. That's unfortunate for them. They'll lose the toll of the train with an unscheduled transit down pit lane. this early into the second stint of the race. So not only does the safety car spice things up in terms of bunching everybody up and that sort of racecraft intensity resumes, but it also brews the real possibility of another safety car, because if we so much as get a couple of cars in walls or anybody caught up in any sort of drama, they might need to deploy the Aston Martin again. We'll wait and see. In the meantime, 1-4-3 in the thick of it here. So this is 14-15. So Harley Haber and also James Golding and the number 7, the Evolution Racing entry. Ewan Baker's in there. James Golding at the front of that fight, and Lachlan Capel in the number 2 as well.
Yeah, it looks like Golding's getting pressure here from his teammates. Going to get... I thought he was going to stick it up the inside there. Didn't quite get the job done, but Golding just out of sequence with these guys. Maybe just a little bit older tyres. I don't think he came through for a pit stop under that safety car. So he's just doing what he can at the moment. Probably doesn't need to fight too hard with his teammate, and that's exactly what happens. Just opens up the door and lets him through. So it's knuckle down and eyes forward now for Golding.
Still Richie Stanaway and Damon Woods arguing over 4th place as well. We're still going to eyes on that battle outside the top 10, the 088. Down the lane straight as they sort themselves out once more. And here's an OG Gear replay. TTR on Logitech. Oh, boy.
Whoa! Got a little bit of a slurp there. And going the wrong way too. Managed to keep it on the grass. I thought, man, if he was going to feed back into traffic, he was going to take a hit there. So, I don't know if that's Ellis behind the wheel.
Behind the wheel of that car at the moment. And that's going to make for a very long night at the office for those guys trying to fight their way back into the mix here. I mentioned earlier, during that opening stint, I mentioned Lewis Greathead and Andre Yusuf. They suffered similar fate in that section of the circuit in the first stint. They've been chasing the tail all night. They've only got back to 37th so far. So in a field this competitive, in a field that is, believe it or not, all 45 cars are still running. I'm assuming that was a random competition caution that we had thrown there, because there wasn't necessarily an incident to deploy it. So all 45 cars are still running, and especially given how bunched up everybody was after the safety car there, it's a long road back for Lee Ellis. Has dropped to 43rd position now as we go back to the 888. And also the 29er Shepherd down the inside, fighting for 20th at the moment. With the 777 of Michael Talianic and Ewan Baker's in there behind them as well. Adam Briggs yet to come into the mix.
He's got the best seat in the house, hasn't he? Look at him. He's just going, well, I can't go to the inside. I can't really go to the outside because there's a concrete wall there. I just got to hedge my bets and see how it all plays out.
There was no room for him to squeeze down the inside. Oh, the Shepherd had a crack, however. Shepherd might have got it done. They're going to drag race through 3 on the run down to 4. Shepherd's got his nose in front. Cleanly. And barely. Good stuff.
Oh, it's not over. It's going to be a dive and fake up the inside. He's going to try and get the job done. Will he pull it up? Nice move up the inside. Look at these guys battling side by side, 2 rows deep.
That's the 777 forcing the issue here.
Oh, a little bit of contact too.
A little bit hip and shoulder, so Shepherd and Talianic. Shepherd brings them all for the moment, but it's not over yet. There's still some front drafting going on. Talianic's not taking no for an answer here. Got to be mindful of the presence of Baker and Sell and Rizzo as they make their way through. Though Albert's on pit road as well. Important to know, you can see that right-hand side of the screen. There he is, bottom right of the screen. Back out into the motor race.
Almost waiting for someone to get fed off into the boondocks here, because that was very close nose to tail. They weren't given an inch, those boys, but I think they might have found themselves just that tiny bit of real estate just to take a bit of a breath here at the moment.
You're watching the Logitech Pro the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series, round 8 of the True Force Enduro Cup. Round 8 of the championship, round 1 of the Enduro Cup, I should say. Got caught out in my own sentence structure there, sorry folks. And it's live and ruthless on a Friday night. Have a look at this, the elbows are out, and that's the 72 trying to get down the inside, so... And not much in that. That was very nearly contact, could still be. Hayden Size, the best seat in the house here, sitting 22nd at the moment. Behind Baker, who's down the inside of Talianic. Got him.
It's not over.
Quite capitalise on that just yet.
Wow. I said there was going to be someone heading to the Boondocks. That's exactly what happened. We've seen a number of cars and drivers have contact in that part of the racetrack, and that's so easy to do with that crossover, just not given enough room there on exit.
777 Synergy Sim Racing. 72 Synergy Sim Racing. There's no team orders going on here tonight, folks.
Yeah, well, someone's going to get a talking too, aren't they?
Absolutely. I'll be interested to see what Brenton Hobson and the troops have to say about that one after the fact. Here it is on the OG Gear replay.
Yeah.
There's the contact.
Oh, it was early on too, but
yeah.
Whew, there's only one rule between teammates, isn't there?
Don't take each other out.
Yeah, so, yes. Jada's piped in the background. He reckons it's rule number 2. I reckon it's probably the top 5 in the rule book, isn't it? So.
Oh dear, it's pinned at the top of all teammate rule books. Here it is. So. Doesn't look like Baker got a little bit of a bobble off the ripple strip.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It looked like he just caught that ripple strip on the inside. Oh, you're sitting duck. No one can do anything. They're both having a red hot go. Yeah, that might be a racing incident, unfortunately.
So 2 things here. Ben Faulkner, Daniel Hall back on pit road, and we're past that critical driving number as well. So all the guys that started the race that haven't done a driver change just yet, they've done their minimum time. They can come in and do a driver change now and sit out the rest of the night if they please. Their job is done, but I dare say, given how evenly matched most of these combinations are through the field, they won't be too much worried about that at this point. They'll only be concerned about not going past 80, which is the maximum driving time, of course. Now, at car 222, Ben Faulkner and co, that was the So they got a black flag and a drive-through penalty for passing on a safety car, and then they got another one for exiting a closed pit lane. They cannot take a trip tonight. They're checking off the bingo card of all the things to do wrong to warrant the wrath of race control.
That's it. But, there's still time to bounce back. It's not great, but, look at the damage to the left front.
Yeah.
That is not going to be ideal, especially where we're at this point in the race with Brad Ryan. Yeah, so Brad Ryan just suffering a little bit there, just with that damage. So, not ideal. Still plenty to go in this lap 43 of 117. But, that's it. That's not what you want. Not ideal, but they can still bounce back from this.
Tip of the hat to Brody Kostecki and how well he controlled the race in that opening stint, because, we've been underway again for about 8 or 9 laps now since that safety car deployment. And Jared Philson's only pulled 4/10 on his teammate Gianni Lotsu. Ringham Leonard still there third, Richie Stataway fourth. The race leader, the championship leader, has not pulled away from the chasing pack just yet. He is still very much considered the hunted at the moment, and the hunters are pouncing, or they're at least ready to pounce. Should Phil slip up. But Phil doesn't strike me as the sort of guy after 4 straight championship race wins as someone that's going to trip up anytime soon. And his teammate Gianni Lotsu, given that it's the second stint of the race, and we should be easing into some sort of a moderate tempo right now just to get through that final round of pit stops. I don't think he'll be too worried about going toe-to-toe door racing just yet. Here's Ryan Wood and also Harley Haber going side by side. We're right on board with Golding in 12. You've got the best seat in the house there, folks. 4 cars arguing over 9th in the car race right now. And Golding is 12th. Andrew Gilliam yet to jump behind the wheel of that car. Down the inside goes Golding. Wants to turn
nice.
One.
Oh, he's going to get 3. He'll get 3.
He'll get 3.
Oh, there's contact.
Contact.
Oh, did he keep it off the tyre barrier, though?
He kept it off the wall barely, did Ryan Wood. That's a blow to him and James Scott's chances tonight.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, a lot unfolded there, but man, he got the job done, didn't he? He made up. We thought he was going to make one spot, turned it to two, and then he snaffled three. So he'd be stoked with that result.
Absolutely. Persistence and patience paying off there in spades. So Ryan Wood plummets back down to 21st position. Wrong way back from there tonight based on what we've seen thus far.
Just careful too. It looked like he got that left rear on the grass there just as he was about to turn in too. So he'd be frustrated with that. Obviously not ideal, but thankfully he's still got a straight race car. Kept it off the wall as we go to our OG Gear replay.
3-1 was never going to go.
Dang. Oh, he's a victim of circumstances. Just on the outside of the racetrack, those two cars came together and, yeah, just ricocheted into him, unfortunately. That's a tough pill to swallow.
And I don't think there's anything race control can say about that one apart from it being a racing incident.
Yeah. Look,
which will be a further blow to them. Really.
Yeah, look, it's one of those deals, isn't it? I'm interested in talking about the Lobs cars with that battle up front. I don't think Phil Sell's too concerned at this stage. I think we saw the pace that they had in the opening part of this race. Oh, there's a dive up the inside trying to bounce back now, but yeah, I don't think he's too worried. I think he's controlling this race at the moment, and I think probably what they're doing is putting a little bit of pressure on Rehan because he finds himself in a bit of a lob sandwich there. So, I think what Phil Sell is probably trying to do is just run this pace and not worry about speed at this moment. And, maybe they want to put that pressure on Rehan, who knows, but it's not working at the moment. He's doing a great job and just slowly ticking the laps off. Lap 45 so far of 117.
Just having a look through my timing screen at the moment, folks, there are a couple of drivers worth noting in terms of fighting for the OG Gear Hard Charger Award. Quite a few drivers in double digits in the positives and more, unfortunately, in the double digits in the negatives as well, including Ross Rizzo down 30 spots. But, Thomas Freeman's up 11 spots into 33rd. The Vermeulen Esports number 17 entry that we were having a look at on screen there a few moments ago is up 15 spots into 30th. 12 spots gained for Ty Delaney. Brian Borg right there. Car 017, 22nd position, up 19 spots at the moment, and the leader of the fight for that Hard Charger Award right now. So 19s, 18s, 15s seem to be where the numbers are for hard chargers, but still a long way to go. Current update on temperature and weather conditions, 2:38 in the afternoon. Server time, 19 degrees the ambient, 26 on track, and there goes Lewis. The 21's pointing in the wrong direction at turn 1.
Yeah, I saw him making a dive there, and I was like, oh, this is good. Oh,
he's got company.
Insult to injury. Oh, that was heavy contact too. That could be steering damage on that car. Whereabouts did it?
Long road back to pit lane from there. That's turn 1.
Oh, is this a retirement? No.
That's Cameron Dance.
He's trying to get going there, so he was behind the wheel.
Dance and his team, even more inconvenient that they stalled it and had to restart it. And it'll be interesting to see if those cars have any sort of unsustainable damage as a result of the contact there, because it didn't look like it was a minor bump. It looked like it was a fairly heavy hit.
Yeah, and you'd be hoping that he got it in the door and not in the left front. So hopefully like you said, they got away with it as far as damage-wise. But heart and mouth stuff there.
Indeed. Randy Costello driving with Matt Bowler tonight. Of course, he's also well-versed in real-world motorsport quite often. I'm seeing updates from him with regards to hitting the karting circuit. So he's no slouch behind the wheel of the sim either. Nice to see so many young guns like Rayner. Oh, unfortunately, that isn't what you like to see. But good evasive action for the most part from all and sundry, and a good recovery as well from Costello. I don't know.
How did he not get collected? I was holding my breath. I was like, man, he's going to get drilled here.
I was waiting for it, don't worry. But no, great to see that a young gun like that, who is really well versed in this caper and has good pace and has netted some good results in the past, has been part of the recruitment of co-drivers in the cohort of 24. Interesting as well, Sam, man. I mean, we'll talk about now black flag for car 115 for contact with car 28. So that's Ian Ford and Daniel Hall getting a black flag for contact with 28 of Richard Hempstead and Lee Ellis. Interesting too, Sam, man. I mean, when we talk about Rainer Costello and Rehan Leonage being recruited, we know that the supercar heavyweights have been wielded as well, like Brody Kostecki. What a tremendous opportunity for some of these guys who, let's face it, the sim rig is where they make their reputation, where they have their fun, they get their hit. What a thrill for them to be able to take on some of the best of the real world.
Absolutely, and that's a huge shout out to the iRacing program, because when you've got superstars that you're racing against, like the likes of Kostecki, we've seen Van Gisbergen race in the series so many times too. As we check out the OG Gear replay, and this is that contact that just into the side, turned him round, and then while he's sitting there, I don't know if the replay will keep going. We're going to see. Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Oh, he's gone in deep, touched the grass, all locked up, and then he sees a car in front of him. Just as he starts to get going. So he thought he was going to clear him. So it did make a little bit of contact with that left front, unfortunately.
Looks like they might have been lucky in the sense that it looks as though the left front wheel was past the point of contact. We'll wait and see. James Golding back onto pit lane now as well. He's not the only one on pit lane at the moment, but it is another stop for him. And this is in sync with the fact that he was the first to pull the trigger in the first round of stops. There's the driver change right there, done. The car disappears for a moment and reappears in the hands of somebody else. So there's your first of the second round of pit stops. Those guys on somewhat of a reverse strategy compared to everybody else. We go back to Phil Selp, who's got Lutzu and Leonage for company. We've actually got Leonage's co-driver standing by in our waiting room to have a chat to us. And he's now going to join us, Madison Down. Good evening to you, mate. You must be impressed with what you've seen so far. He hasn't let you down, young Rehan. Up from 8th on the grid to be sitting 3rd and right there ready to pounce in the lead up to the handover to you to bring it home.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing an amazing job at the moment. Can't really complain or fault him at all. I think he's in a lot of break yet, so he's doing a really good job. I mean, I'm hoping I can look up to the hype now. That's the stress for me, because he's done such a good job so far in this race. So obviously we're running a double here. His pace is really good. I mean, to be running with Jared Filsell, who's obviously been a champion in many series across many years. Amazing drive so far. Just
going to address some news at the top of the screen there. Cameron Jones, of course, driving with Sean McNamara tonight. Those guys have picked up a 15-second penalty, and that was for contact with the 47 of Kurt Sternberg and Colin Warwick a short while ago. There's Ross Rizzo having a moment through the back of the circuit as well. If you're just joining us, round 8 of the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series, and of course round 1 of the True Force Enduro Cup.
He got caught up in someone else's incident, unfortunately, and I held my breath because I thought it was commentator's curse. I saw a TTR car and I was like, please don't let it be Rehan.
Madison, let me ask you this, mate. I mean, it's interesting. You're only 190 points off the championship lead at the moment. There's still 1,600 available, 1,200 of which come through the Enduros. Where are you placing the importance as far as Enduro Cup, championship fight, or do you still want a taste of both if circumstances will allow it, if you can continue the consistency up? One podium finished out the course of the season, but consistency keeps you very much mathematically in the equation right now.
Yeah, it's no secret we haven't had the championship that we've wanted. Of course, carrying car number 1, we want to go back to back. We're not too far away from that, but if we can have a good Enduro Cup, that'll certainly help our cause. I mean, for us coming into the Enduro Cup, we got a little bit less pressure than we had last year, so we're swinging pretty freely. If we can take a race win, I'd love to do it. It's not something we've done in this series, so we're going for the wins if we can get it. We're probably not quite fast enough, but luck goes a long way in Enduros sometimes.
And just like that, boys, lap 50 has come and gone. That happened very, very quickly. Sam, man?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on while we've got you here, Madison. It's a unique opportunity, but with Rehan, I'm guessing he would have been an absolute sponge when he joined the TTR fold leading up to this race.
Yeah, I think he's taken a lot on. I mean, we haven't really taught him how to drive the car faster. He's already doing a really good job of that. So he's already got the pace. It's just a matter of how to manage, I guess, the race from a psychological standpoint. Make sure he knows when to go for it, when to sit there on the station. I mean, at the moment, he's giving a very graphic example of exactly that. He's not trying to move forward. He's pretty happy with that track position we've got. So he's just managing the tyres and the fuel. So that's probably been the main thing that we've focused on. I think he was probably already doing a good job of that anyway, but his pace has been there in other series, and also when he's running the series in the past, just maybe it hasn't translated himself as well. So, 51 laps in the car to be P3 at the moment, I certainly can't complain.
And of course, we should point out the dance entry has made its way back into pit lane. Tyson Broad taking over that car right now. You can see that right of screen, position number 43 for those guys. They were involved in that incident at turn 1 a few laps ago, and car 04 is going to cop a 15-second penalty as well for the contact on car 36, which you just saw a few moments ago at turn 10. Here's a replay of how Dance and Broad got caught up in the drama. Or straight into Stenberg, sorry.
Yeah, so that's what the penalty was for Jones. So, yeah, unfortunate, but Madison, we probably have to let you go. There's a lot happening within the team there. You're probably not too far away from driver swaps. I know you're not going to tell us too much, but so far so good. It's been impressive to watch, and I think he's doing exactly what we expected of him.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me on here for a quick chat. And yeah, we're just watching Ethan Warren coming up in mirrors. We need some mates up here to help us against these doing okay guys. So yeah, fingers crossed we can get some friends up here and we have a run to the end.
Are you ready to get the elbows out against all these doing Lobs Esport entries at the end of the night if needs be, mate? Because it looks as though you're going to have to deal with 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, there's a fair few more of them up here than us at the moment. So look, as I said, we're swinging pretty freely. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of penalties this year, and we've probably been in the thick of it a bit too much. So I really do need to get some consistent results in these enduros. But look, if the wind's there, we'll do our best. Obviously, you never intend on taking anyone out or moving people out of the way too much, but we'll be aggressive. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we can get another car or 2 up here to give us a hand, and at least it's not so one-sided. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I'll chat to you later.
Trouble for the 93 at turn 1. Damon Woods is bowled wide. Thanks to Madison Down for jumping in there. Just one more comment on Rehan Leonage. I mean, I think Madison already touched on it, Sam, man, and I'll get him to touch on it a little bit later on as well. Yes, he's taken a lot on, but he's got Lassif in his corner. There's that natural instinct that's reflected in what Rehan's brought to the table in his already extensive sim racing career, and he's still in high school, for goodness sake. But also within that has come, he's had to mature very quickly, and it's a very mature head on such young shoulders.
Yeah, we could see that talent when he was in the series. Wasn't last year, last season, the season before, but we'll just watch his replay. Oh, how lucky was he not to click the back of that TTR car? But yeah, we could see early on that Rehan was a true talent, and yeah, like Madison said, they haven't had to teach him much to drive because he was a really good steerer anyway. It's just all the other little fundamentals that you need to learn, especially when you're in these pressure cooker situations, and you're up against some of the best sim racers in Australia for this V8 category. So it's impressive. I'm excited, and yeah, stoked for the way he's going so far.
Absolutely. There's the battle for 11th, and still, I mean, it's been more than half a dozen deep all night, this battle for 11th. And at the moment, there's 9 of them out there. Ryan Wood at the helm of it. Ruben Goodall in behind him. Chris Cox said he'll hand over to Brenton Hobson a little bit later on to bring it home. 0.266 behind Goodall at the moment. They are just packed and stacked in there. Baker's copped the 10-second penalty for the contact on Costello that we saw a few moments ago at the top of your screen there. Lap 54 for our race leader, Jared Filsell, our championship leader, Jared Filsell. And Gianni Latu second. Here's the move down on the inside. Cars 8 and 2. That's, of course, Robert Gibbs and Lachlan Capel getting the elbows out to defend there very nicely on Emily Jones. And was able to do it with Capel.
Yeah, Emily hasn't given up here.
No, not at all.
She's keen for another attack here. Didn't quite get the inside. He was onto her there. So she's trying to look around the outside. It's a long way to go. Oh, but then she's got to be careful that she doesn't miss that opportunity because Corey's right there to pounce too. So if she runs a little bit wide or leaves the door open, he's going to think about going straight up the inside. But thankfully, she's just covered off. But you can see Emily's just carrying that little bit more pace that she's got at the moment. And I think it'll only be a matter of time before she gets the job done.
Cameron Jones has picked up another 15-second penalty for a 951 sim racing stable, I should say, for contact on Stuart Vaughan this time round. So it's been a rough old stint for Cameron thus far, not least, of course, the fact that Sean had to come down pit lane twice to complete the first pit stop. So when it rains, it pours for the 9-5 stable. In the meantime, here comes Gianni Watsu. Now, is this just to get out of the hectic nature of the battle that's unfolding on the racetrack, or is this a routine scheduled pit stop? Watsu will most likely hop out. Yes, he does. Yeah. And in hops Dylan Rudd right now.
Yeah, that's smart racing because they were in that little pack there. So that'll free them up a little bit. They'll have fresh tyres, and now with a fresh driver behind the wheel too, that's huge for them.
Kyle Stokes in 19th comes to pit lane now. And Dylan Rudd is still on pit road at this point. So it's a long stop that we've been expecting that. Here's Harley Haber and Forzen El Nabi. Haber's driven a nice opening stint. No doubt about that. El Nabi will take over. They're up 19 spots as well. So at the moment, they're in the box seat for a big mover. Price tag hard charger award.
Lauren Kobe's pretty hungry here. Oh, he's put the nose there a couple of times, but now he's on the wrong side of the racetrack. He's not giving up, though. Yeah. Oh, he's still got... And look at the marbles again. Yeah, couldn't quite get it done. That marble build-up is getting thicker, too, on the outside. So whether that played a part, it is a tricky part of the racetrack to set yourself up, too, because, like we touched on, you're on the inside for one corner, you're on the outside for the next one, then you're on the inside for the next one. So it's about setting yourself up, getting a bit of a rhythm through that section.
Important to note as well that Lutzu's pit stop elevates Rionage to a race-high second for him and Madison down. They've taken the 22 Trent Tasman Racing Stable entry with them as well. Of course, that's Grady Myers and Ethan Warren. We cannot take our eyes off this battle here as they come back down the main straight once more. I've never known fog to be so visible at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The 053 down on the inside. Still cloudy conditions there at the Interlagos circuit in Brazil, but it's got a foggy look to it, no doubt about that. And around about that 24 degrees marker at the moment. Still a 4-way fight as they make their way down to turn 4. Let's pick them up. That's the 89, of course, from the Synergy Sim Racing stable. And that's the teammate of Brenton Hobson and Chris Coxhead. That's Brett Loxton behind the wheel of that at the moment. Wayne Burke has already driven the opening stint. So you've got Harley Haber, you've got Kobe Williams, you've got Bradley Ratu in this battle as well. And Loxton, Piggy in the middle there in 8th. Andre Heimgartner to pit road now. Certainly not the night that he and Macaulay Jones would have been hoping for. Joshua Anderson jumps behind the wheel of the 36 as well in 37th place right now. So pit lane's busy.
Yeah, Macaulay's jumped out. Andre's jumped in. So a fresh driver in the seat now too. So... And this is where we're going to be at now. There's a lot of these drivers that have ticked off that mandatory 37 laps now. So, that'll be something that everyone will start thinking about. And, of course, there'll be people that won't be, in a hurry to get their other driver out because they're actually doing a really good job. So, And we see, here's one of the Lobs cars in the lane. So that's Stanaway.
It is indeed. And Richie's in. We'll wait and see if it's a driver change for him as well. Yes, it is Luke Rosella jumping in. So Luke Rosella in. Stanaway out of the 55 right now. As Haber and Williams and Loxton and Ratu make their way by. Hayden Sell on the pit road as well in car number 19. Phil Selkostecki continue to lead. Down in Leonard's second. Myers and Warren have moved themselves up to a race high third right now. Rosella resumes outside the top 10 you'd expect. And still, jeez.
Yeah, he hasn't given up here.
That's incredible lunge. He can make it work. He can't.
He's trying it under and over here. He'll think about a dive up the inside. Oh, he will. Oh, almost made contact. Went in a little bit deep.
Look,
That could have got ugly.
I think he did make contact just quietly. Here comes Radu. Radu in the 888 makes the most of that. He gains a spot. Harley Haber fighting for dear life to hold on to 5th. And Ratu at the back of the fight. Williams has been relegated as well. But all of a sudden, as Ryan Wood latches onto it as well to make it a 5-way fight. Loxton's in the thick of it in 8th spot. Williams fighting for dear life in 7th, and this is how he lost 6th place, trying to send it down the inside. Bowled wide, did clip the 97 of Harley Haber, and straight up to pounce on the outside was Ratu. Now they come down the main straight again. Not so processional second stint of this race. The elbows are out. Haber into the lane, and El Nabi should be jumping in.
Yeah, now we're getting to the point of the race where we're past the halfway, and then we start thinking about how the rest of this race is going to play out. You know, you've already got some sort of idea of where you're at and what you're probably in contention with, but man, there's a lot going on. Very racing. Look back in the pack there. There's one of the GTR cars nearly out on the grass. That was Jones.
You wouldn't normally see 4 wide in supercars anywhere. This is not NASCAR at Talladega, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. Everyone just fighting so rigorously.
Yeah, I thought Emily was going to get the job done here, but yeah, obviously got fairly close there out onto the grass, and mate, this pack hasn't stopped battling all race, have they?
I asked the question about half an hour ago, didn't I? Maybe even an hour. But will the intensity die down a little bit? I think this pack answered the question for us. My goodness.
And it's going to get worse as we get closer to the end.
Absolutely. Next time by, ladies and gentlemen, will be at the end of the next lap for Phil Sell and Kostecki, who have just started lap 59, will be halfway. Or, well, technically, they'll get halfway around this lap and be at halfway, 58 and a half. And 58 and a half gets to 117. But yes, halfway through. Halfway to go. And the night is only young as they make their way down the main straight. Now, will there be any pit stops this time around? Yes, there will be. Yes, there will be. So pit lane, all of a sudden, it's interesting to see the differences in strategy play here. So many different varying critical lap numbers in the mix here right now. Veld, Gibbs, Costello, all on pit lane right now.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be too much longer before we see Phil Sell Kostecki. They decide to make a tour down pit lane because they've opened up that little bit of a margin over Rehan. 1.4 seconds now, so he knows that whatever he's got with him now, he may as well use up because they're not too far away from pit stop. So interesting for the way the rest of this race is still playing out, but so much happening. And look at the dive up the inside. Oh, the 29.
Yep.
They're not giving up contact. He's gone around.
Goes the 29. Doesn't lose a total amount of ground, but still it's a costly 5 or 6 seconds. Oh, can you believe that for Corey Shepherd? Michael Talianich makes his way by up into the top 10, and Shepherd is outside.
Hold on.
And there's a car, driver's right, coming out of 10 as well.
I think it might have been
pointing the wrong way.
Emily Jones. Yes, it was.
Well picked up.
Man, she was having such a good run too. I don't obviously to be pointing that way at that part of the racetrack, she might have got a helping hand there, unfortunately. So we'll check out the OG Gear replay. And
well, this was the first incident. Remember, there were 2.
This is with the Maloney.
Shepherd. Yep. And Maloney on the OG Gear replay. The next one, next corner, surely. Jones was wide on the approach and tried to correct it, and there was contact on the exit as the door started to close, the gap.
Here we go. Yep, she's run wide. Oh, wonder if she might have done it all by herself. We almost need to go on board just to see if she did get contact there, but man, I touched on about the marbles. She was definitely in that part of the racetrack. There's a fair marble build up there. That's a tricky one. Here we go. This is a good shot.
Absolutely it is.
On board with Emily Jones. Oh, I think
Oh,
there might have been a little touch.
think
Yeah.
just a nudge, just a delicate tap.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much too because the car's loaded up the way, and so that little bit of contact in that spot, unfortunately, was going to send her right round, and that's what's happened, unfortunately, I think. So another one, the stewards have been busy. We're talking about the drivers having some pizza, having a break. We wanted some pizza in the commentary box. I think the stewards are going to need some pizza.
Still waiting for my Uber Eats delivery. Phil Cell, Leonage, and then, of course, the 22 of Myers and Warren, Gardner and Woods in there in 4th, Kuznetsov, Ratu 5th, and Scott and Wood in 6th at the moment. That's the running order as it stands. Rehan Leonage is in traffic right now. So not only is he 1.4 seconds down the road from Phil Cell, they're now contending with lap traffic, which was always going to be an issue tonight in a race this long, in a race with the field this big. But it'll be interesting to see whether lap traffic abides by the rule of thumb, the racing law book, for the balance of the evening, and just moves out of the road and minds their own business. We'll wait and see. In the meantime, here's Richard Hampstead. And yes, Hampstead's about to go a lap down here, potentially. So Phil Cell coming out of turn 12, back end of the lap, 13, and next left sweeper through 14, and then the kink at 15 that brings him onto the main straight, the start-finish line to complete the lap. 61, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, again, past the half race distance, and that means that this time by there's 56 laps to go.
These drivers and team combinations will be starting to think about pit stops, especially if they're going to find these front runners that are starting to come along in traffic. They'll obviously have a bit of a strategy going, and they'll have a lap number that they want to meet. But that's something that they can think about as we go to the OG Gear replay. Nice move up there, up the inside, showing how it's done. And that's a bounce back for that 88. They've had their fair share of dramas, as well as the 22 of Myers and Warren too. We saw them backwards having a tour through the grass. So both these teams and drivers have been able to... Oh, a little bit of nose to Braille. That's just Braille for saying, I'm here to race. So that was just a little bit of nose to tail. But yeah, good comeback for the 88 and the 22 so far.
Geez, they're getting a little bit greedy with the track limits there at turn 3, aren't they? On the wrong side of the ripple strip for iRacing's liking, usually with regards to track limits. In the meantime, Emily Jones now on pit lane after that spin a few moments ago. Phil Cell, Leonage remain 1 and 2. The margin now only a second, and I wouldn't read too much into that, because that'll just be a consequence of the lap traffic that they're both trying to work their way through and navigate their way around at this point in time. Damon Wood still sits a very steady 4th. And then the 088, of course, there in 5th place. In, of course, James Scott and Ryan Wood. So it's been a nice little fight back from those guys.
Absolutely. You say that margin between Rehan and Phil Cell. I don't think there's a driver in this field that wouldn't give their right arm to be 1 second within Phil Cell halfway through an endurance race like this. So he's doing an absolute cracker job. I know you're all going to be sick of me talking about him, but
not at all.
I was excited coming into this race, and he's living up to the hype so far. But still a long way to go, 55 laps. And I did laugh when Madison said, the pressure's on him now to perform, because Rehan's done the job. He'll throw him the keys and say, look, buddy, we're on for a podium here. If you can't bring it home, then we might have to talk about your driver contract. Kick him out of his own team, maybe.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to say, I need to be replaced by Lysa Leonage, I'd say. Swap the technical work and the strategy work for the driver's seat, and Madison will end up on the tools. However, in saying that, can we just highlight and underpin the point that Madison's probably selling himself a little bit short there in a modest kind of way. I don't mind sharing with the audience at home, and I've been vocal about this in the past with regards to my involvement in sim racing commentary the last 5 years. I didn't know a terrible amount of detail about the sim racing community before I got involved. We all somewhat migrated there during 2020 and 21 through the COVID years, and we've just latched on and stayed. Maybe overstayed, I'm not sure, but one of the names that was prominent from the outset of that time was Madison Down. So it's nice to see that that's still the case, but also nice to see the way in which the sim community has evolved over the course of time, Sam, man, and drivers applied their craft and trade and worked towards being competitive with the likes of Downs and also Phil Sells. So, yep, they've been the benchmark for the longest time, but that next generation, led by the likes of Rehan Leonard, are here and they mean business.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you can pick yourself up against the likes of Jared Philsell, Madison Down, like we've got some incredibly talented drivers throughout the field, and not just in the sim racing world, but in the real world as well. You know, we're talking about the likes of Kosecki who races here. You know, so these guys have really got their work cut out for them and really taken it to each other and putting on a hell of a show.
I mentioned 400 points available for the win tonight as Brian Borg comes to pit lane. It's 380 for second and 364 for third. Valuable points with regards to not just the True Force Endurance Cup, but the bigger picture of the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series for these guys. I mean, we talked about the championship points coming into the night, and I don't mind reminding everybody at home that Phil Sell led on 1,172 points, 14 clear of Dylan Rudd, and Gianni Lutzu, of course, his co-driver. Rick Kuznetsov, 11.08. So, fine margins. 64 points covered the top three coming into this round. 68 covered the first four because James Scott was on 1,104. It's then a little bit of a buffer back to Madison Down on 982. But if any one of those guys trips up in the next short while, those around them will capitalise, provided they keep it clean tonight, such is the points matrix. I mean, you look all the way through this field down to position number 45. We pay points, 24 points minimum tonight to be picked up. But I mean, even for a top 10 finish, you're going to pick up a total of 328 points. So, I mean, a slip in the road here, doubly costly compared to the other rounds of the championship, but probably more so because you don't have as much time to resurrect it or turn it around or redeem it, Sam, and if I can find the right word. It's been a long night so far. It's only going to get longer. Oh, here we go. Some trouble coming on the OG gear replay on the way down to turn 4.
Oh, that was a motor.
And that's the 27's night done with the motor gone.
That was like on a down change. Now, I wonder whereabouts this is, if it's out of harm's way. Lewis looks like he's done a brilliant job actually to get that out of the way. So I don't know if there'll be a safety car, but it looks like on the down change, it's just, unfortunately, he's lost an engine there.
He'll request a tow, but I guess they race control leave him there for the night. Yes, so it's all clear now, and therefore no safety car. Well, because we don't need any more spice thrown into this one. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Goodall in 33rd at the moment on pit road. And we pick up the number 1 of Rehan Leonard. So 1.4 the margin. You just saw a race leader, Jared Philsell, go through the top of shot. There he is. And he's got lap traffic to the left, lap traffic to the right, lap traffic behind. He's got lap traffic everywhere at the moment. But he's got a couple of cars between himself and Rehan Leonard. So a nice buffer to hold station at this point. Brett Loxton down on the pit road right now. Whether this will be a second driver change for these guys or not, I'm not sure. I don't think so, considering that Loxton hasn't done the minimum 37 just yet. I dare say this is a double stint for him. Oh no, I'm wrong. Wayne Burke is back into the car. So either they're telling me there's another stop there, or they're playing gamesmanship. This is going to be interesting to see what their strategy's like for the rest of the night.
Yeah, still a way to go though. So, you know, sometimes it's good to have that fresh driver in, give someone a break, so share the workload, where there's other teams that, you know, want to get their driver minimum out of the way over and done with and have their other driver go to the end. So many different ways that it can all play out, and that's the beauty of endurance racing, is that you've got to think about that. You've got to have a driver in, and you don't want them to fall apart at the wheel, and you need them to be strong towards the end. So all these teams manage that properly, and yeah, it's nice to have a fresher driver towards the end of this race.
The 951, that's Cameron Jones and Sean McNamara. Brent been in the wars tonight, and Thomas Freeman in behind them in the 495. So that's 12th and 13th at the moment, but there's still a couple of penalties to be applied to those guys based on what we're seeing from race control. So I'm not necessarily sure that they're effectively in this fight at the moment, McNamara and also Jones. Quite interesting, though, to see that they're still that far up the order, considering the woes that they've been through ever since that first safety car deployment.
See Taliancic and Scott Campbell in the lane as well. So more of these. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern now, aren't we? We're just waiting for these next round of pit stops to play out, because this will give us some sort of indication of what we've got as a run towards the end. And things get a little bit spicy here between Rehan and Ethan Warren. So the TTR stable will be managing this quite fairly. I know that they'll obviously be thinking about pit stops soon. So whether they do just a bit of a switcheroo between the drivers just to so they're not tripping over each other, or they decide to pit one or the other sooner rather than later. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Now, here we go.
Here we go.
Pit lane, a hive of activity right now.
I think Leon and the 22 was in as well. Yeah, absolutely. So our top three all in the lane. Another car, the Gardner and Woods car, is also in as well. So, man, it's all happening. Pit lane's getting nice and busy. This is what we were waiting for.
Critical moments in this race. Ryan Wood's going to come on through into pit lane as well. Kostecki back into the fill cell car. Down jumps into the number one. Takes over from Rian Leonage. We'll see Down go through to the checkered flag from here. Brady Myers takes over the 22. Griffin Gardner's finally aboard the 93. And Bradley Ratu, Corey Shepherd, Ty Delaney, the top 8, all on pit road at the moment. Make that 9. Brody Kostecki with Jared Filsell. What an absolutely magnificent start from these guys. They've barely been challenged for the lead of the car race. Yep, they've had... Oh, gee. Have a look at how... Have a look at how bunched... well, that's point number one, but have a look at how bunched that the pit lane is, in the sense that we're double stacking as well. Addison Down has pipped Brody Kostecki on pit lane. That's point number one. First time tonight that was Stint 94 challenged for the lead of the car race.
Yeah, so that was just a little bit of strategy that's played out between those two. So they might have just put a little bit less fuel just to get some clear air. We don't know. Safety car. How has this played out for these guys?
Wow.
So we've just seen our race leaders make their pit stops, and now Down's going to be holding the lead here with a safety car.
Once again, right in the middle of a pit lane sequence. Right in the thick of it. Now, keep an eye... Sandman, on anyone that hasn't yet come in for their second splash and dash. And also keep an eye on just what this means for the race leaders, the effective race leaders, those that have been at the forefront for the balance of that second stint. A game-changing moment. Now,
wow.
I'm also curious as to whether this is a second random safety car, or there's something that we haven't been made aware of yet. I'm sure we'll find out. I get the feeling that it's a competition caution.
And for people who are new to our series or new to the sport, a competition caution is decided long before the race has started, done with a random generator, and there's only maybe one or two people that may know what that lap is. So no one knows when these are going to happen. So this is really throwing a cat amongst the pigeons. But as we see Madison Down on screen, let's take our hat off to Rehan, who did an absolutely cracking race, and to put them in a position where they're leading here on lap 68. Like, that is a heck of a job. Rehan, take a bow, because that was a very impressive stint. You took it to some of the best sim races in Australia, and got themselves into a race-winning position.
Dead set held his own, and has set the number one up to pounce at the right time of the championship. You only heard from Madison Down about 15-20 minutes ago, didn't you? Talking about the fact that things haven't necessarily gone their way to this point of the championship season. Tonight may just be that turnaround point. Lap 69, ladies and gentlemen.
Going to make things interesting, isn't it? Just with this battle with Filsell and Kostecki. So Kostecki's in the car now. He's fresh. He's ready to go. And, you know, we've seen what Kostecki can do behind the wheel of a real supercar, but we've seen him what he can do in the virtual world too. He's not short on pace. So it's an amazing driver pairing coming into this for Filsell and Kostecki. So Madison's really got his work cut out for him, regardless of who finishes this, whether it's Kostecki or Filsell. Madison's definitely got some work cut out for him.
Yeah, the 94 boys, as well as the 1 boys, know that they're in good hands for the balance of the night. But as we say, it's going to be very interesting to see who finishes that car. It seems as though these boys are in the belief that there's another pit stop in this race. Cameron Jones, Bo Albert, Ian Ford and Richard Hampstead all on pit lane at the moment, folks, all sitting 39 through 43rd. And just the one engine failure thus far. That was for the 27. So Tyson Broad out of the race, unfortunately. Marcelo Rivera's a lap down. Everybody else, I can't believe I'm saying this, still on the lead lap. Those safety cars have been falling at just the right moment to keep everybody on the lead lap.
And that's what you do, isn't it? You roll the dice like that. We touched on the leaders were coming up to traffic. Do they pit just to get out of that traffic? And if they had have pitted earlier, that could have hurt them. So the strategy's worked out nicely for them, where they've been able to stretch for as long as they could, and then this safety car's come out. So, yeah, really great timing. I know a lot of these drivers will be fairly happy about it.
So a potential double stint here for down on the run home to complement the double stint from Leonage. It seems as though Kostecki and Filsell are going stint for stint. Myers is now aboard the 22. Griffin Gardner, if I was a gambling man, I'd say he'd be bringing it home in the 93. Hayden Veld, Robert Gibbs, James Scott, Bradley Ratu, Dylan Rudd and Ethan Grigol at the top 10. So EGG, the two-time Hyundai XL national champion now in the real world. Can I just say, as much as this is a supercar broadcast, I cannot wait for iRacing to get onto the hidden wonder that is Hyundai XL racing in Australia and put the XL on the sim racing platform. I think that would be in the same vein as it was when they put Formula V on there. Absolutely bonkers. Madison down leads this race. It looks as though we're going to have another lap under safety car here, Sam Man, and then all hell breaks loose once more. But, I mean, this is lap 70, two very delicately, conveniently placed safety cars to this point. And who stands to gain most from this free pass, this free kick to latch onto the back of the field and let rip once more?
I think everyone obviously gets that second chance. It bunches the field up, but the further back you are, the harder your job's going to be, because obviously these front runners, these top 5 or 10, they'll slowly start to pull away from the rest of the field. So if you find yourself outside of there, you've got your work cut out for you. But still don't know how the rest of this race is playing out. There could be a big, we haven't seen a big accident, so
no,
fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But so much can play out. But I think while we've got this run under safety car, it's a good time to touch on. You were talking about iRacing. The news through the week, if you didn't catch it, is the release of the Gen 3. It just missed out on this most recent build. So it looks like in the next build, we should have the Gen 3. But then what's more exciting is that the team were in Adelaide and went to the bend, and iRacing are in the process of scanning the bend, or they may have just finished it. And they're also scanning the Adelaide Street Circuit. How amazing is that?
Once it's set up in November, of course, for the supercar finale. And that'll take it to 7 Australian circuits on the circuit. And we know, on the server rather, and we know that Pukekohe's still in the works as well. So that'll take it to 8 circuits that we are very familiar with these cars. And ever so gradually the Australasian presence increases, the Trans-Tasman presence increases on the server. Not least Gen 3, of course, on the way. Not least, of course, talk about maybe Sydney Motorsport Park somewhere down the line as well. So a lot to be excited about as an Australian motorsport fan with regards to the world's leading sim racing platform, iRacing. Right, lights out on the safety car, ready to go once more. A lot of people salivating at that news this morning when it broke from iRacing overnight. and we are very excited. Adelaide was probably the surprise that we weren't expecting, but how good to see another street circuit on there to complement the likes
the
of
22.
Long Beach and Chicago. Have a look at that, not mucking around at all. The 22 straight up the outside, Brady Myers. Watching
inside.
Brady Kostecki. He went for the switchback, wasn't able to get it done. Gardner and Beld are in there as well. They've got the rest of the pack of the top 5, but it's Madison down that leads the field to the restart. And Holmes
someone's backwards at turn 1.
2 and 3, and we've lost one at 1.
Yeah, there was a car.
Danger the restart, we know that.
Yeah, and that was the head up. I reckon that heads up between the two TTR cars. I think Madison was on the radio just letting him know probably that when the 22 could go, that they were going to go at the same time. He had a crack at Kostecki, couldn't quite get it done, but now they can just reset and push on.
So Rivera and Lewis 2 laps down. Rord and Dance are out of business, but everybody else, it's game back on. By gee, what a task Brady Myers has on his hands here with Griffin Gardner breathing down his neck.
Well, this is what Madison wanted to. You know, he spoke about us when he was here, when he joined us in the broadcast, that he wanted another TTR car up there just to take on the Lobs cars because, you know, he knew the pressure was starting to build, and those Lobs cars, they rounded out the top 6 for the start of this. So he wanted the 22 up there to help him, and it looks like he's getting his wish so far.
Unfortunately, a couple of the Doohan cars have already got into one another. There have been a couple of teammate moments. Synergy Sim Racing have had a teammate moment as well, so it hasn't been all smooth sailing. Now, my timing screen is telling us that we're starting lap 72. We're able to tell you that Hayden Beld has gained 12 spots, most of anyone in the top 5. And Robert Gibbs, who you just caught a whiff of there on screen, up 16 spots from 23rd on the grid, up at a 7th in car number 2. And have a look at the elbows out here. Oh, trouble! There's your big one!
Contact! That looks like...
495 goes exit stage right.
Was that heavy damage? Did he get away with it? A couple of more cars involved back there through there too. Will this be a safety car?
So Blake Delaney caught up in that with Thomas Freeman. Zach Vlasblom and Teo Sorono's car caught up in that. Not the only ones. There were 3 or 4 that has just kept everybody on notice now because, as things get more serious. That was a good move. James Scott down on the inside of Hayden Beld. That'll be for P5. Beld slips back to 6th. Robert Gibbs is 7th. And James Scott there when the whips are cracking.
Yeah, I think
next target will be his teammate Griffin Gardner.
Yeah, and that's what Myers, the Stenberg car. Just looks like trying to regather. Man, it's all happening here, but I reckon that's who they need to be worried about, is that those top 3 or 4 drivers need to worry about Scott. We've seen Scott's pace that he's had, and so I don't be surprised if you start to see the pressure come from him.
Big lunge, and it was to no avail. So Ethan Griggold survived an attack from Luke Rosella. Let's have a look at a replay here. The OG Gear replay, the incident.
Oh, look, you got fed by a teammate.
For the 47.
No. We've already
seen another
seen
teammate incident.
Wow, we've already seen about that was a Synergy Sim Team Racing that they were coming together, and now TTR are having a crack at it.
Too much of the teammate on teammate rubbish tonight. But then again, I mean, you look through this field, there's about 11 Synergy Sim Racing entries. There's
watch this, the red car. This is where I saw the 495 fire off. Bang. Big contact into the back there. And that's what I was worried about. And then there was a couple other cars that were involved back in the pack too. There's the 111 pointing the wrong way. So,
Hayden Beld's been boxed out of it here, Sam, man. Hayden Beld's been absolutely swamped. So he lost out to James Scott a few moments ago. And now he's lost out to Robert Gibbs and Ethan Griggold as well. And now under pressure from Dylan Rudd and Luke Rosella. The floodgates have opened. And unfortunately, the 53 of Beld is on the downward trajectory. Across the line we go. Griffin Gardner's punched out the fastest lap of the night at 1:32.494.
dive up the inside, trying to make 2 spots in his contact. He went in there deep under brakes. That's pushed the 55 wide, and that was door-to-door contact. I don't know that the stewards will be too impressed about that one.
And that was Bradley Radu, a bit too ambitious. But we've seen a bit of that argy-bargy. Everybody's just, got a little bit too pumped up and excited off this safety car restart, and it's as though it's 5 laps to go, not 50 or 40 as it is now, 43 next time by the line. Down leads Kostecki by 0.2 of a second. Myers in behind them. Gardner's there as well. And Scott has latched on. Top 5 covered by 2.09 seconds. And here's the replay of what happened. All the silly nonsense at turn 1.
Oh, this was back in the pack where we saw the rest of the cars involved. But, ooh, a couple of heart and mouth moments for a lot of cars back there. That could have been 20 times worse.
So 5 cars in 2 separate incidents is the takeaway from that one. Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? All the same corner. That's interesting. But, they're not. We were talking about we haven't had a big crash, but geez, they're trying their hardest, aren't they?
We've seen a couple of little ones since the restart. Absolutely. Down the main straight we go.
Here we go.
Is this the move for the lead? Brody Kostecki down the inside of Madison down. Thank you very much. Nearly contact on the way through.
Yeah.
Down, lets him go.
I'm wondering. I think hopefully they got away with not much damage there. It looked like that. Down got out of the throttle to let him go, and Kostecki didn't quite pull out enough in time. But I think he's gotten away with it and didn't get damaged. So, that could have been massive.
Mitchelson for overtaking the safety car without approval has a drive-through penalty. 0-4, Luke Mitchelson, Paul Young, Synergy Sim Racing, drive-through penalty. Brody Kostecki's the leader now, having taken back over from Madison down the number 1 for his first laps of the night after the safety car intervention. Brody Myers is third. Griffin Gardner, James Scott has latched onto that fight now, and in fact, the argy-bargy between Kostecki and down at the front has invited Scott back in. He's got onto the train. Gibbs, Greg Galt not too far away. The 7, the highest it's been all night. The 7 in lucky 7 at the moment. And look at down. Just sitting there patiently, playing the long game with Brody Kostecki. The defending Supercars champion, the 94, with Jared Philsell, the championship leader in this series at the moment. The unbackable favourites for the Enduro Cup find their way to the top, along with the defending series champion, the number 1 for Trans-Tasman Racing. This is a heavyweight fight between 2 of the big heavyweight teams in this series. Across the line we go. That is the end of lap number 75. 42 to go.
I think Madison finds himself in a good spot here. He can sort of sit behind Kostecki now and just maybe save a little bit of fuel if he can. Just tug on to the tailcoats and just maybe get a little bit of that draft. So we know that he did jump in pit lane. Whether there was a fuel difference, that might have been the case. But so it probably puts him in good stead where he can just sort of sit and ride, because they know that they're not going to race too hard at the moment. There's still plenty of way to go in this race. So where they're at this stage, I don't think they're showing their hand. But it puts them all in good stead as they just need to run these laps down.
Take a breath. It's been relentless in the first handful of laps here, 5 of them since that safety car intervention. And Griffin Gardner now holds the fastest lap of the race. 1:32.494. And look at this, still side by side further down the order. Another one of the Doing Lobs Esports entries down on the inside of the number 2. So that was, of course, Dylan Rudd in the 990 on Robert Gibbs. So that's for 7th and 8th. So Rudd and Lutzu sitting pretty at the moment, with the Gibbs and Capel in behind. Kostecki's going to lead us to the line to end at lap 76.41 to go. And yes, we've been racing now in excess of 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen, and still pretty well where that came from. Another hour's worth. Is there another safety car in the mix? We know that we're expecting another round of pit stops just yet. Are we at that critical lap number? We're not far away. Stick around. The best is yet to come on a Friday night. And don't forget, the next to the Enduros in the True Force Enduro Cup is now only 3 weeks away from Sandown. Also 500 kilometres, 161 laps. Friday, August 30, and then we turn our attention to a Sunday for the Bathurst 1000, Sunday, September 22, round 10 of the championship, round 3 of the Enduro Cup. So the big weight, the heavyweight fights are still to come in this championship. Then we go back into sprint mode for rounds 11 and 12, all wrapping up, of course, Wednesday, November 13 from Spa, and you'll see all the action right here on our various number of different platforms. We're streaming across YouTube, and that is a big send down the inside by the 9.5 Sim Sport entry, and a bit too much hip and shoulder involved for the sake of it as well.
Yeah, when we saw it actually happen live, we knew it was a big dive. So unfortunately, the stewards will be fairly interested in that, or I imagine. So, but yeah, mate, what a race. And I reckon Interlagos has really turned it on for these cars. And then, like you touched on, we go to the traditional home of endurance racing, where we've got Sandown and Bathurst together, and absolutely blessed to have that in our platform, because for us, it brings home a touch of homegrown racing. When you think about Sandown and Bathurst, it's a true lead up to the Bathurst 1000, isn't it, when we race at Sandown? So really excited for that one.
History and tradition, and I don't envy your series organisers now in the years ahead, with circuits like the Bend and also the Adelaide Parklands dropping on the silver in the years ahead. Whether Interlagos retains its spot on the Enduro calendar, or whether it's an all Australian swing of the tour. I mean, we've already had an Australian round this season. Round 2 was at Phillip Island, but now you're going to be sport for choice. So there's going to be potentially some interesting conversations had with regard to whether we have an international flavour to the Enduros going forward, or whether it's a 3-round swing through some of the best circuits in Australasian motorsport. Let's not forget, a Pukekohe 500 wouldn't have a bad ring to it either, I wouldn't imagine.
Can you stop? I'm salivating right now.
not to give you any ideas, of course. Now, here's the elbows out. Oh, geez, you wouldn't want to get any closer than that. That's Andrew Gilliam we're running on board with at the moment, driving with James Golding. Now, a big send down on the inside to turn 10.
Yeah, they've given each other plenty of room there. And this is what I love about this part of the racetrack, is there's so many opportunities in this tight, twisty section to throw it on the inside and gamble around the outside, but they haven't given up. Have a look at them.
That's the Fishy Motorsport entry up there on the inside. We haven't had much of a chance to talk about them tonight, but have a look at them. Right in the thick of it now when the whips are cracking.
Oh, Talladega stuff here. They're drafted. Are they going to go 3 wide? Yeah. Down the straight away. Oh, he's gone.
There's a big one. 1, 2. How did they not hit him? The Fishy Motorsport entry of Michael Willing and Jamie Dye eats concrete.
Massive damage to the right front of Michael Whiting. That all started, well, more nose-to-tail contact there, but they were all side by side. Man, lucky not to bring out a safety car. That could have been a huge incident.
That could have been the big one, Sebring style. That really could have been.
Yeah, in that part of the racetrack too, it narrows up.
We've put the kiss of death on Whiting and Dyke, haven't we? We hadn't seen them all night. And the first time they're in the thick of it, this is how it ends. 3 wide on the main straight at the Interlagos circuit. And so another car had a very significant cloud in all of that as well. Couldn't quite pick up the number for the cloud cover there at the Interlagos circuit at the moment. Andrew Gilliam benefits from that, jumped up in the 15th spot, somehow avoided damage in the midst of all of that. I'm still not sure how.
Yeah, that was absolute heart and mouth, isn't it? That part of the racetrack, especially where it narrows up and, 3